Welcome to the Reticle Up podcast, where I, TriGun Kenzie, will be interviewing competitive shooters, hunters, fishermen, archers, entrepreneurs, and outdoorsmen. Come learn with me as I interview people from all walks of life, in different disciplines, all across the world, from novices to professionals of all ages. No matter what, everyone has something they can teach you, so come join me on the journey. Welcome back to the Reticle Up podcast. I've got Matt Kitzmiller on. He's a professional three-gun competitive shooter. I'm stoked that you're here right now.
Same. Looking forward to it.
I'm going to call him out. He took notes, y'all.
Always do.
Never seen someone as type A as I am. So look at that. Love it. So I've listened to both of your three-gun show podcasts. And since then, you've made quite a few changes, life changes, reached new goals. God, you're shooting three-gun and taking it by storm, but you're also taking AK matches and others as well, right?
Yep.
You're just getting around the circuit. So getting started, I want to talk about your cross-country move to the East Coast.
Yeah, so my wife graduated nursing school, and she's from Pennsylvania, where we're at now. And I really don't have any family in Arizona. I moved there when my mom moved there, or shortly after my mom moved there years and years ago from Central California area, from San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
So kind of a big, not a cross-country move, but a little ways across, a couple states over.
Just a few time zones too.
Right. But yeah, so I moved to Arizona and I lived there for about 10 or 12 years. And it kind of got to the point when my wife graduated that there wasn't really anything keeping us there, and our family was back here. And both of our parents were having, both of our dads specifically were having a little bit of issues health-wise. So we moved back kind of out of nowhere. She approached me in like early December if I was, asked me if I was interested. And initially I was like, absolutely not. I'm not leaving here. I'm not leaving my friends and, the community that I've worked hard in. And I don't know. I have like a saying that I hold. I have several, but one of them that I hold dear to my heart is be quick to say no and slow to say yes.
Same thing with hiring people.
Yeah. And it's served me extremely well. So she started and I was like, no. I thought about it and I was like, there's guns there and my dad's there. And, I didn't grow up with my dad. So, not only did we move here, we moved in with parents. So
cool.
Yeah, we sold our house in Gilbert, Arizona, which is next to Mesa, where Rio Salado is. We sold our house there, and we're hoping that the market will relax a little bit by January. We're hoping to buy. So yeah, it was nuts. We had a blowout. My dad flew in. So my wife moved to PA, I'd say like early January.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad flew in to help me load a U-Haul and do all that kind of stuff. And a couple of my friends came and helped and stuff like that. But we had a blowout in the U-Haul, like in New Mexico. So that's one state to the right. we didn't get too far and that blew up. But after that, it was all smooth sailing, piece of cake.
Love it. I don't know if you know this either. I just jumped from Florida to Tennessee to shoot. So I hear you on getting like reestablished or established, like, oh, you built the range relationships, the shooters relationships. So yeah, you gotta be like, no, I don't want to leave. But then there's some good stuff on the other side too.
Right. Yeah, there is. Yeah, leaving what's comfortable is kind of part of growth, right? I mean, if you do the same thing all the time, then you're probably not going to grow to the same frequency that you'd prefer. So
yeah, big fish, little pond, which we'll talk about coming up
here.
So many people also, they don't realize like how different shooting climates can be at different altitudes too and throughout the season. So when you made the jump, Arizona's dry, it's hot too. What's the East Coast like?
So I was lucky. I had a crash course. I started hunting about 3 years ago, I'd say, and just small game. And then I really got into quail last year in Arizona. And then I decided that I was planning on hunting deer with my bow, which I'd never done before. And I bought a bow the season before. So I had a year of practicing and learning how to do that and acquiring all of the gear. I mean, it's like TriGun, right? And if you're going to do it, you gotta acquire all of the equipment. And, I sold my Harley Davidson and bought a Polaris Ranger so I could actually get around the desert.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's a big deal. And if you're hunting in Arizona, I mean, you gotta be able to drive, pretty far out. And, I guess it's probably like that everywhere, but I've only hunted in Arizona, so I wouldn't know. So
Cool.
I started hunting with a friend of mine during javelina season, and I was unsuccessful in stalking. You have to actually find animals with glass and then go and get them on foot. So
Yeah.
a little different than the East Coast hunting, type. Um, so anyway, I guess short story long, I was in the cold weather in cold weather in Arizona, like where I was hunting is in like the teens, I guess, into the 20s in the morning times. So not stupid cold, but pretty chilly enough where you got to be layered up. So I'd done that for so many days because I wasn't interested in going home empty handed. So I went by myself day in, day out, and which I was finally successful and harvested a nice mule deer. And that was super cool. But I hunted until like 3 days before my dad showed up in the freezing damn cold for me. So we left there and then got here. And by the time we got here, it was a full blown snowstorm, like the biggest one that the East Coast had seen in a while. So
was this February or no?
this was February. Yeah. So by the time we got here, it was freezing cold. I'd contacted a few people locally some friends had put me in touch with some other friends to kind of understand what the shooting community was, what it was like, I guess, and where to go, where not to go, so on and so forth. So I got a couple days with my friend Ian Norris. I got a couple days in with him, one day in specific where we showed up to a local range here. And I just needed to zero some guns before I flew back to Arizona because I moved here and then I had to go right back to Arizona for the Mystery Mountain match.
Nice.
So it's freezing ass cold. And I mean, I thought I was fine. When I was in the house, I was fine. When I was out front, I was fine. But as soon as we got on the range, I was like, my hands just didn't want to work. My trigger finger didn't want to work. It was brutal. I mean, it was super brutal.
Yep.
It wasn't what I anticipated. That's for sure.
No.
I thought it was going to be a really easy transition to be outside, but being outside in Arizona and then being outside here, like I said, I had a little bit of an advantage of being in the cold for, a long time, but out here, in the lower teens, it's freezing cold. So
it's wet. That's the problem. The humidity. So
right.
Funny you said February. I shot a super secret match, but it was the freezing cold, icicles and all the roads were snowed over and stuff. And so I'm texting my buddy like, hey, do I still go to this match and drive up? They're like, don't be so Florida. And at that time I was in Tennessee and I was like, dude, but like I'm trying to quad load a shotgun because I don't shoot open yet. Like all my fingers were not working with gloves on.
Yeah. I shot a shotgun match when I first got here. That was my first match that I shot. And it was amazing. It was all shotgun. So I showed up, my friend Ian kind of turned me onto it and I didn't know anybody but him. And I didn't even really know him. I mean, he took me to a range one day and I didn't know him before I got here. We share some sponsors and have some mutual friends. So, and I think I had contacted him or he contacted me before I got here. Like I'd put it on my story, I think one day on Instagram, like, hey, I'm moving in that direction. If you have any pointers or anything, and I think he responded or something, but anyway, pretty organic, I guess, for the most part, that relationship. And we went to the shotgun match and nobody knew who I was, and usually when I go to a new club, I wear a t-shirt. So you know what I mean? So nobody
fly under the radar. Yeah.
Yeah. Just nice and chill, but I wore a shooting jersey. So people were kind of looking at me and it was a little uncomfortable. And I started shooting and I mean, there was a couple other guys shooting open, but if you can imagine what it's like going to an all shotgun match with a finely tuned dissident gun. I mean, pretty much
100%. And the next one's like 65.
Pretty much wreck shop there. But my first introduction to wet and moisture on the ground was our second to last stage. I'm running, you had to go into this little tight area and then pull your gun out and start running this way. So I'm coming around this corner and I didn't like kind of, slow myself down. I just kind of went really fast and I just ate shit. Just whoop, my feet went out underneath me and I hit the ground and I felt like I broke my wrist, but I was like, I don't care. I'm not stopping. And I picked myself up and just with pure hatred, I finished this stage. Yeah. So
Cleats will serve you well.
you know what? I ordered another pair of Solomons on the way home, and I've thought about cleats a little bit, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm interested in making that full jump quite yet.
Oh, it sucked. I mean, but I fall on my ass all the time, and literally it happened Mississippi match, slip fell in the CQB match, so tight positions and stuff. And I was at Academy that night for the next day.
Nice.
You know, that's how it happens.
Yeah.
So, and you won that match, right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely crushed it.
But we shot another one, and that was a nice day. That was like, it was chilly in the morning, but the sun was out. So, I mean, it was in the 60s, and I had a vest on for most of the day when I wasn't shooting. But I shot a benefit, like an autism benefit, all pistol match. Well, they sold it to me as a PCC match, and I hadn't played with my PCC in a while. And the one that I had built. I know we kind of chatted offline the other day about this. The one I had built a couple seasons ago. It's like most PCCs where it requires, it's like most open guns, I guess. They require, finesse and a certain ammo, and not like that, and no, not like that, just like this. And
don't look at it wrong. Don't breathe on it.
Right. So I didn't have any ammo loaded for it, and because it's got to shoot little shorties. And so anyway, I shot my pistol. They said, yeah, you can shoot your pistol if you want to. So me and my friend Ian and I, once again, we went and shot that. And I did well at that, but I had a Kuyu long sleeve like base layer, and then I had a shirt on top of that, and then I had a vest on top of that, and then a puffy on top of that. And I was looking at the little, we did some photos at the end with our trophies and stuff like that, and I'm looking at it, and the guy presenting me the trophy is like in a t-shirt, and I am literally all of that is on, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, just take the picture, when we get back in my truck. It's different. It's different being in the element.
I'm so glad that you're another person that does that. I'm like that. I'm very, very cold natured, but they don't realize how humid it is. And like that wind just, it's awful. Yeah. I'm not a bear, so they can have that. They can wear their shirts. So what do you love about this East Coast change versus West Coast, or what do you hate maybe about the East Coast too?
I can't say that I hate anything about either side. I guess in comparison, I definitely miss the ease of practice. So I've had, full disclosure, probably 3 practice days in 5 months, something like that, as far as actual live fire, go to the range. And one of those days was with a friend. So, which it's good and bad. I mean, it's good. It's good if you're hoping to help somebody else, or to learn. But if you're in a mode of, I need to preserve and I need to keep my baseline up where it needs to be, then it's great. I mean, then it could be, I don't know. I don't want to say harmful, but not as useful, I guess.
Well, it's just like sports teams. Like I feel like when they play crap teams, they go down their level rather than on theirs. So whoever's the higher level is going to bring people up, or they should.
Right. Well, you're sharing time, you're sharing reps, you're concentrating on something that maybe wasn't your exact intention to concentrate on. But I've had very little practice since I've been here. So when I lived in Arizona, my home range was like 16 minutes from the house.
Nice.
And I had access to there anytime, but basically from sunrise to like 9 p.m. with lights on. So in the summertime, obviously it's screaming hot in Arizona. You're not going to get past that, but you can shoot at night where the sun's not out, and and really take advantage of it. So not having that has been challenging. So I miss that. Otherwise, East Coast, I mean, the weather's been interesting. I mean, my weather and your weather is pretty close with regard to precipitation. So what's up. I mean, last weekend I shot a pistol match with my friend Jeremy up by like Harrisburg, which is north and west of here, about 2 hours. And that was the first match I can remember for quite a while that it didn't rain at. Like, it's rained almost every damn match I've shot at this summer.
Yeah. So, sucks. You just get tired of it.
Yeah. But I mean, when I got out here, I shot Mystery Mountain and I came home, and I feel like it was like a couple weeks later, I went to Texas TriGun Championship.
So that was fun. I know exactly what that was.
Dude, that's the first that's the first match I've ever shot in the rain. So I've never shot in the rain ever.
What?
Yeah, ever.
Welcome. Welcome
Not
to real life.
so I shot that match, and from there I remember coming home and telling my dad, like, well, I'm a professional range shooter now. Like there was a point, and I've told this to a few friends now. There was a point at Texas Three Gun that I kind of looked at my squad mates and people, my friends. I looked, Josh Freilich was on that squad, and I guess Jeff Chafin was on that squad, but he's such a big dude that the normal getting cold rules don't really apply like at all. But like Kim Peterson was on our squad, and I remember looking at those dudes, and I know Josh fairly well, and I know Kim pretty like really well.
Yeah.
So I know they're both from Minnesota where it's cold as balls. And I'm looking at them and kind of like, are they freaking out? Because I'm freaking out. Like I'm getting to the point now where I am so freaking wet. Like never mind the shooting part. Like I'm like want to start a fire in a second. Like it's not like starting to have a little panic attack. So
Yep.
I kept kind of surveying them and thinking I'm just going to stick through it for 10 more minutes. And obviously it finally subdued and we got after it. But after that, I ordered some more gear, got some different gear, ordered another pair of Solomons.
Stop. Did you really?
Yeah.
It's just, and people like, they get so frustrated. Like people who, like you saw on Instagram, don't even shoot competitively. They're like, oh, go shoot. I was like, excuse me. And, it'll be like, oh, well, I train in the military. I was like, that's beside the point, like that's not this. And it gets exhausting. I'm glad I shot it all, but like, fuck, just like 3 days of sunshine would be so cool. God.
Yeah, most of the time I'm looking at the matches that I'm going to shoot here locally, and it's like sunny, match day, 80% rain, sunny, sunny, and
Yep.
I don't know. I've kind of embraced it a little bit now, and I mean when I first started with the rain thing, I remember texting my friend Adam Maxwell and saying, "Hey, dude,
Love him.
yeah, same. He's in Phoenix at some sort of work thing." And asked for a taco and burrito suggestion for lunch. Hopefully he's pretty good. But I remember texting him and asking him like, hey, will all of my stuff work in the rain? Like, will all my optics still work? Like, will my red dots work? Like, obviously I shoot open. All three guns have a minimum of one dot on them. So, or one optic, I should say. So, yeah, he's like, yeah, you're fine. And I'm sure he's laughing, having a good old time about that. But, yeah, anyway, it was kind of nerve-wracking initially, but I don't know. I think it kind of got pretty dialed in. But the community here is really no different than it was back home. There it's kind of a one size fits all with regard to the three gun community, as you know.
Yep.
So that's been cool. Yeah, it's. I mean, the first couple matches was a little weird, kind of sniffing each other out and
sniff each other out.
Right. Just doing that kind of thing. But now, when I go to the matches that I frequent regularly, the match directors are doing the same thing they did in other places that I shot, where they're asking for some feedback and they want to get better, and it's great. I mean, it's exactly what basically best case scenario. So
yeah, that's what we need is feedback. I feel like a lot of people don't do that. So okay, yeah. Before, I remember listening to your podcast, like you said, you had access to range and targets and facilities. Do you have that now, or are you still trying to get that established?
So I have so most of these clubs here, you have to go through like a vetting process to a lot of the premier clubs here nearest. Like I'm probably 40 miles outside of Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
So, very, very tight, small communities, not a whole lot of land. So the shooting clubs here, there's very few of them locally within, like, I'd say the 30-minute, mark, something like that.
Yeah.
But to have access to them, you have to go through this process where you have to apply. Someone has to
vouch for you. It's like the boys club. Yep.
Yep. And then once you get in there, it seems like it's a bunch of grumpy old men that don't want to make any sort of innovative, movement. And they want to keep things the way they are, which is fine unless you're a three gunner or a competitive any gunner, So I got into my dad and I went to a club that's about an hour and 20 minutes away called Topton, and they didn't have that process. And I think it was a little bit of like some of the COVID protocol was taking place. Yeah. So you weren't having to do a lot of the things you normally had to do to get into that club.
Nice.
So he and I, one of the criteria was that he and I needed to go to, I think it was a minimum of one meeting and go and kind of show our face and fill out some paperwork. So we drove up there one night and we got our membership cards shortly thereafter. And they have some bays and in a perfectly good place to practice everything except for like long range. I mean, there's some long range stuff out to 200.
Yeah. That's not long range in our game.
Right. It's not, and it's on a bench, right? So it's not,
Yeah.
they kind of limit you to how high you can shoot by structure and things like that. So
Right.
it's challenging. I mean, where I was accustomed to going and practice for, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour max, including setup time. Now it's like, it's hard for me to even to put that much time in, because now I'm looking at probably spending an hour and a half, 2 hours on the range, and taking a little break in between, and things like that. So it sucks,
It's
thinking that
daunting.
yeah, I mean, you're looking at, a minimum of 3 hours and probably realistically like 4 hours.
Yep, drive time and all of that. And I mean, people don't even realize what 3-gun practice is.
Right.
God, you gotta bring all the crap that you bring to a 3-gun match. Same exact thing just to do it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's been really challenging. Like I said, we're gonna be buying a house. I'm hoping January, end of the year, beginning of next year, we're gonna buy a house closer to where I shot last weekend. So that USPSA match I just shot, up towards Harrisburg. There's a ton of clubs in that vicinity, and there's a lot more land out there too. So if we can swing it, I mean, there's up there, like a $500,000 house is like a $500,000 house. It's not like, like in the city where everything's so compact. Like you can actually get a little bit of land where I might be able to at least shoot suppressed, and get some reps in that way. So hopefully that works out. But I mean, in the meantime, I've relied purely on like my baseline, which is something I've never done before. I mean, this is my 5th year competing, and I'd say probably my 4th year shooting 3-gun. I probably shot a year of USPSA before I actually got into shooting 3-gun, something like that.
Yeah.
So luckily I've worked through my baseline and gotten my, worst case scenario. I haven't practiced level that's typically been a little bit greater than the average shooter. So I've been able to rely on that and dry fire in this dormant time.
Something I want to go back to that you said, and it frustrates me, is range, like owners or mentalities or boards. So the community here, it's crazy. We have this massive range. It's super awesome because they do Steel Challenge, USPSA, Cowboy, 3-gun, NRL 22, everything you would want, right, in a range. And they'll have sometimes 2 of those matches on the same day. Well, the Cowboy community, and I used to shoot Cowboy, I don't know what's up with this one, they get pissed at us and we're not allowed to drive our cars on the range because it's not period correct. So they make us like walk all the way up to the 100-yard bay and all that shit. And we're like, and they came up just to bitch, in the middle of their match, came up all the way to bitch about us driving cars. We're not even hitting them. We're not bothering them. Like it's not on their bays. Like it's insane, right? How is that welcoming and improving our sports or our culture?
It's not. I don't know. I haven't had too many issues with the Cowboy folks. There was some Cowboy matches that kind of turned the range over to us. I don't know if it was the 3-gun match that we shot monthly at Rio Salado or the long range rifle match or the longer range gas gun match that we shot, but one of the two, they turned the range over, and they were always super nice and easy to deal with.
Yeah. My club's back home where I don't know what it is about this one. And, I would go back and shoot a match with them. Now I want nothing to do with Cowboy action here,
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen some of that at Rio Salado before the what do they call it? I think he's called a range master. So Rio Salado is a real big place.
Yeah.
So there's a guy, and his full-time job is to be at that range. And he's got his hands in everything, mainly safety related.
Yeah.
But he's got his hands in every match and every square inch of the range. So the guy that was before the guy that's running there now was, I don't know, just not really cool. Just overall lived one of my like life. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. He took that whole like be quick to say no and slow to say yes thing a little too serious. Let's just say that. which sucks when you're trying to build a match. Like he'd come and you'd bring him in on a major match and he'd want to proof every single stage and look at every single target presentation. And he was shooting the match. So I'm pretty sure this guy was like, getting a solid stage plans in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for it's supposed to be working, but he was constantly just not friendly with people and just kind of an ass, and you're right, it's not welcoming, and nobody wants to deal with that. And it's no different than like the ROs that are absolute assholes. It's like, dude, you're an ambassador, whether you like it or you accept it or you don't, you're an ambassador to this. You could make or break someone's interest by every breath you take, and everything that comes out of your mouth and your stupid facial expression that suggests anger and frustration. Like, think about it, So yeah, that's frustrating. I know it.
Somebody hears that though, because it turns you off really quick. And even me, I'm just like, what the fuck when I meet people, and I've been in the industry, I understand what it takes, but we shouldn't have to eat it so often. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We shouldn't be like, oh, that's the norm or that's complacent, that's not acceptable.
Yeah. The poorest, I could remember the few times, and the poorest that I've ever been treated at any 3-gun match or any match period was at my home club. And I know, yeah, I remember when it happened to me, I was like, dude, I expect this from other places, but I don't expect this at my house, right? Mm-hmm. And it's funny how on the flip side, everywhere I go, people are extremely nice, kind, and welcoming, in all different types of ways. And it was the polar opposite. So I don't know. I think sometimes those people need to be checked. And luckily for some of the 3-gun community, I take that on full on. That guy was checked that day, and then he was checked again a couple of days after that. And the next guy will be too. So, I mean, at some point, somebody's got to stand up and say, hey man, like, you obviously didn't get the subtle hint that you're being an ass. So now I'm going to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've done that for new shooters, and I'm here to stay. So,
right. Yeah.
But I don't want to digress, but I hope somebody hears that. Like, you don't even know if it could be the first time that they've ever shot a match ever, right? You don't know where they're at. And again, like you said, we're moving to a new place. We're trying to make it home and pour into the sport and RO and do all this effort. So you need to be welcoming to that.
Right. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the match I shot this last weekend, I hadn't shot USPSA, and I want to say it was last November was the last time I shot. I had been running a USPSA match with my friend Manicki for probably 2 years, 3 years, something like that. So I was, USPSA has never really been my favorite thing. It was my favorite thing until I found 3-gun, obviously.
Sure. Same.
Yeah. And then once I found that, it's like, all right, this is not as fun at all.
No.
But I guess I didn't realize how much I was going to enjoy it. Cause I enjoyed the hell out of myself shooting this weekend, and the camaraderie, and, the guys were kind of, you could tell they were extremely skeptical about me. And my friend Jeremy went and he shot a PCC, and I shot my Nighthawk open minor.
There you go.
They were already like looking at me like, well, good luck, bud, and make sure you reset and this and that. And it's funny. I was like, yeah, I'll reset, and at one point, like 4 stages in, this was a 7-stage USPSA match, local match. And I think it was the 3rd or 4th stage in, the guy who signed me in the morning was on my squad. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he was a match director. I didn't quite catch all of the hierarchy there, but he basically said something along the lines of, hey, Matt, why don't you just give me the tablet or give me the clock or whatever I had, and take a break out in the shade, bud. You've been working out there. And to which we had already established a little bit of back and forth, he and I told him, I said, you guys wouldn't last 2 stages in Arizona.
Thank you. Or period 3-gun. Oh yeah, my God.
This ain't hot, buddy. This is 90 degrees. And yeah, it was like 70 or 80% humidity, but yeah, they're dying, and I'm just in the sun taping. Give me this, give me that, give me this, give me that. So
that's the competition in and of itself is resetting for me. That's fun.
Yeah. The whole thing was fun. And when I left, I was telling my friend Jeremy, like, dude, I look forward to getting back to a local club where I can go and help, and they can utilize my resources, however they see fit, and get back into some match design, some stage design, because I do miss it. It's fun. I have the time, I have the energy, so it's good.
Exactly. That's awesome. Going back to the 3-gun community too for a second, you talked about Ian, right? Ian?
Yep. Ian Norris. Yep.
Yeah. So you're already brothers. So I don't know what it is about three gun, right? But I feel like that's just family immediately. So it's not really that scary when you know people, or at least you reach out to people moving.
Yep.
So in like the light of that too, how has moving not changed anything at all, with having that three gun community across the country? Like, it's not scary.
It's not. Um, I don't know. It might have been under different circumstances. Like maybe if I didn't have, a few years under my belt,
Yeah.
it might have been different. But I mean, it was kind of weird. The first three gun match I went to um, was with him, and I don't think I knew anyone else there either. But I mean, after a stage or two, people start kind of warming up a little bit, and yeah, I mean, Rick Torres is another local guy that's a really good shooter that shoots most of the matches that we all shoot. And I think the first three gun match was actually a two gun match here for like the season opener, which is a whole
Mhm.
nother thing where in Arizona it doesn't, we shoot 12 months of the year.
Yeah.
So I guess we wait for the tundra to melt on this side of the country.
I think y'all do indoor matches though during winter, right?
They might. They might. I don't know that they have the facilities to do that here exactly where I'm at, but they might have them somewhere.
That's a Minnesota thing too.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. And the boys there, like, Josh and the guys that live up there, obviously Ruben and Travis and Adam and all those guys that are, I think they're shooting indoor, but they'll tell you like there's a big difference between, the north and the east. Like,
Mhm.
like even the northeast from the north, like that place is like I've been there in the wintertime and it is a whole different level of cold. Like it hurts here in the winter.
Yeah.
Like winter is so cold it hurts, but there it's on I don't know.
Never going there. People are like, you should just move to Minnesota. That's where, the shooting is. Even Missouri. I'm like, F no. I can't even survive in like 65s inside. No.
Yeah, so the first match I went to, they opened the season with no shotgun, and it was pretty chilly that morning. But I shot rifle pistol, and I think I finished second, and Rick beat me PCC pistol. But it's cool. I mean, it's a whole new place, whole new presentations of targets, whole new targets. The way that they do things is totally different. So it really changes. And I have another thing that I live by that's when you go to a new major match, you have to go to it once. And there's some exceptions, like I don't know, John Wydell.
For sure.
There's a few exceptions to this, but most of the time, at least for me, I could definitely speak for me and probably for a lot of other people too. You got to go to a major match for your first time and give and invest a poor a poor performance or a lesser performance than you'd prefer, I guess is a better way to put it.
Yep.
Whether you prefer to be first in your 60th or you prefer to be first in your fifth or sixth or whatever, you have to figure it out, right? You got to get a little bit of feedback. You got to kind of process what you saw, how you saw it, what it felt like, and if you're, getting up your game, you're probably going to want to know what it felt like, smelled like, sounded like, and learn all of those things before you can go back and return with some vengeance. So it's kind of like that here. I mean, with the local matches, everyone that I've gone to, I think I've lost the first one and went back and did well after that. So I don't know. It's overall not a whole lot's changed. My dots are not on max intensity because there's a green backdrop everywhere I go, which is very good. I could save a little bit of battery life there, as opposed to Arizona. Everything is hues of brown and orange and red, and so that's been pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And so I like what you said about getting your feet wet under each match. I mean, majors or not you're gonna suck the first time. And I just think about that. I haven't done a full circuit on like the second time around because I'm still at that starting point, which is great that I started during all of this nonsense. But I now have a feel for like what different like Missouri matches, Minnesota and Fort Benning, right? And USBSA multi-gun I shoot, even though it was two gun this year, but they at least like two gun I think it's awesome that they do rifle and pistol for you. That's good practice for us. Like I like PCC and pistol, but it'd be nice to have that division,
Yeah. I know when two gun first started kind of rearing its face. When it first started, I would call it rearing its ugly face. I hated it. I just wanted more 3-gun, and I was very very outspoken with regard to how I was not happy about it. And I guess in time, I've seen a lot of my friends that started shooting 2-gun in Arizona. They started and they were on the other end of the spectrum. They're like, oh, you know what all 2-gunners say, or all 1-gunners say, shotgun, shotgun, shotgun. And I'm like, dude, it's so fun. Like,
so much fun.
You have, I mean, it's challenging. Yeah, it's challenging. But once they got to the point where they brought their baseline up, where they're shooting those 2 guns pretty lights out, and they're still, on an overall scoring, when they're still seeing themselves down here, and it's because they don't have that shotgun. They're shooting these little targets that with the shotgun at 15 yards is doop piece of cake, but with a pistol, it's
so much time, unless you're John Browning, right?
Right. Yeah.
Jacob, I saw Jacob or Nate? Nate posted that video, right, from Wyoming, of shooting those long targets with a pistol. We're like, why?
Yeah.
He cleans it. He had 1 makeup, and I'm like, F you, dude.
Man, I've shot with the AMU guys once, and it was at the TriGun. That was the first time I've shot with them, and yeah, Jacob's pistol game and Nate's pistol game too. It was pretty interesting to watch. All 3 of them, Houston did super well too. It was impressive, to say the least. I followed Jacob throughout his last name and my last name are pretty close, so I followed him. So the stages that like, we shot the all pistol stage, and I'm like, I shot second, he shot first, and it was the first stage in the morning. So I'm just kind of watching that, like, are you kidding me? Really? I have to follow that, And
Yep.
Put a solid 4 seconds on me. And it's funny, I came home after that match and I was reviewing my videos, and I realized that when I first started shooting 3-gun, I was athletic enough where I could move fast and kind of not have to worry so much about shooting accurate. And it served me really well. I mean, I would miss, hit.
Yeah, we're good. Same time.
And I was out again, right? Then I got to the point where I kind of went back, I'd say about a year ago. I kind of went back and started paying more attention and practicing by myself, and practicing primarily with my pistol, and making sure that I can hit what I want to hit. I mean, the other 2 guns, not that big of a deal, but the pistol was just, I was good enough to get the job done, but not like a constant top 10 at any match that I went to kind of shooting, and that's where you need to, if you want to stay at the top, you got to hone, I listened to your podcast with Jack the other day talking about the pistol. It's like, it's by far the most important. I mean, by way far. So I don't know, for me, the move of practicing to be more accurate, well, I never really introduced or kind of went out of my way to reintroduce speed. So now I'm watching that stage, like, I can't remember what stage it was, but the all pistol stage from the TriGun. I'm watching it. Yeah. And when you're running across, whether you're running right to left or left to right at the very end, I assume most people shot it that way. I'm watching myself at like a snail's pace. Like, I'm taking a brisk walk on the beach, walking out there. So when I got home, that was a big deal, to me, is making sure that I'm snapping in and out of targets. And I got to play with that a little bit at USPSA this weekend. So that was kind of full circle, and
that's where USPSA helps out. I mean, truly, I was a garbage pistol shooter, and I forced myself to shoot USPSA just to improve. Honestly, I reached that level to move up to the 2011. The 2011 changed everything for me. I didn't realize that would do that. And I'm talking about overall wins or second place overall. And I'm like, what the heck? Just with a pistol, and 3 weeks into that pistol, it was just insane. And like, going back to shotgun too, shotguns, what other targets can you shoot? Clay aerials or anything that is flying or moving that's like really fun like that. Those people, they haven't shot a Texas Star with a shotgun or a plate rack. It's so much fun, and it's so much faster.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, thinking about those, I mean, and this dovetails right back into what you were just saying, and what I was saying earlier, is that those guys that are friends of mine now, they were shooting 2-gun and really in opposition to that shotgun. Those guys, I wasn't there when I had left when I think the brunt of this was taking place, but I think they got to a point where they were being held back by equipment. You know, they didn't have the equipment, which was a shotgun.
Yeah.
So 2 or 3 of them now have bought or are in the process of buying dissident guns.
Oh,
And
look at you go.
yeah,
Awesome.
there's other people there now. I mean, I was
Yeah.
definitely the person to bring that company to that club, but there's all kinds of other people that are shooting those guns now, so they get to play with other people's guns, and now those guys are shooting that stuff, and they realize how fun it is. But it's the same thing. Like, I think it's good. I think you can buy yourself into a better position with equipment. You know, I was listening to that. That's another thing that you guys were talking about. I listened to it a couple of days ago. I'm sure you recorded it a while back, but I think you can. I mean, if you want to buy all the, the high speed gear and the $6,000 guns and all that stuff, it's gonna bring you up to higher than where you were, but you're probably not going to go anywhere from there. You're going to stay there until you put the work in and discipline in. So yeah, if you start, I mean, I know when I started with a Glock 34.
Didn't we all? Yeah.
Yeah. Glock 34 MOS, no dot. I shot that thing and I was shooting, at 15 yards, I was shooting, realistically, probably, 12-inch groups, with a couple little clusters here and there. And then I know when I shot a friend's STI before they were staccato. And I saw, my groups went down like this. And then I shot a dot gun and I'm getting down like this. So I'm like, well, obviously, I'm screwing up. And so I've had probably 7 or 8 STI guns, and just kind of bought some and kept four or so all the time between carry and everything else. I typically carry it. For the most part, I carried a 1911 until recently. I bought a Glock 43 that I carry every day. But
there you go.
Yeah, so I had probably at any given time 4 different STIs and 2 of them with dots. So I'd go and I'd shoot them. And I remember after a year or 2 of competing, a friend of mine had the same exact gun, that Glock 34 iron-sighted gun, and he was having some issues with it, and he was shooting a big ass group. And I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot, but I don't shoot these things very well.
Yeah.
And I shoot it, and I'm shooting little tiny groups again. And I'm like, all right, this is one of those, it's not the Indian, or it's not the arrow, it's the Indian kind of things.
Yep. So, I carry a 43 as well, and it was actually interesting. A lot of people don't put enough time in, by the way, behind their carry guns, like if at all, which is pretty bad. But yeah, after I moved up into 2011, was practicing. The other day, I just literally whipped my 43 out. It's like, all right, let's see. And it's like 1 for 1, 1 for 1. I'm like, oh, it just makes you so much more disciplined on everything else.
Yep.
It's changed the game. So pistol, people is what we're trying to tell you.
Yeah. Can't get enough. I mean, just the stage planning aspect of USPSA, so that it's not so overwhelming. I mean, I love it. I mean, I hope 100 people come and shoot their first 3-gun matches, and that's their first match. I mean, I wouldn't discourage people, but definitely cross training in the other, whether it's an all pistol or an all rifle match, definitely an all shotgun match, obviously. If you're a tube loader and glutton for punishment, then that can be fun. I hear. I wouldn't know, but
my poor friend Chris, Atlanta 3-Gun had a falling steel match a couple years ago, and you could shoot all shotgun. So it's like 290 rounds of shotgun, right?
Yeah.
I shot it with tube gun. So he's like, oh, I'll try that. And not seeing, what had happened. He left with a bruise and that like drip bruise, down the shoulder, and he was cussing me out for a long time. And I'm like, but it's fun. That was dumb, but it's a lot of fun, all shotgun matches. And a lot of people are afraid of them. And I will say this too, the worst excuse I hear is, I don't have a shotgun. I don't have a shotgun. I don't have a shotgun. Do you know how many people would throw a shotgun at you?
Yeah.
For you to come out?
Yep.
That's not a thing.
Yep. Yeah. I've told that to so many people that now, like in my job, in my regular 9 to 5, for a lot of years, I've been upkeeping standards, for a big, a $2.5 billion a year company, pretty decent sized electrical company.
This is the electrician by trade that I kept here.
Yeah.
Trade.
Electrician by trade, standard keeper with a whoosh, whoosh by actual profession. So I've been really good at stripping people of because what I basically do is that I teach standards and upkeep standards for field supervision. So the people that are in charge of all the people, that's who I primarily teach, how to not be, assholes to one another, how to treat people, in an appropriate way, communication classes, things like that. So you might see content on my Instagram page from time to time about communication and all the touchy feely stuff. And all my friends will be like, "Oh, I can't believe you have anything to do with any of that." They're like, always kind of poking at me and whatever. But I've been good at stripping people before they have their excuses. I've been good at removing them for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so now anymore, like I had a guy that I talked to a couple of days ago that it was telling me that he was interested in maybe shooting some 2-gun or something like that. And I, why don't you shoot 3-gun? Let's do that. And oh, I don't know about the shotgun. And so where normally I'd be like, oh, don't worry, we have 7.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the ammo, don't worry, we have 20 cases. It'll be fine,
Mm-hmm.
Now I just, okay, well, let me know if you change your mind. I try to not be as abrasive as I once was with it.
Yeah, I'm still in that spot.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It gets tiring at times, but I'm not to imply that that's not an effective technique, because it's very effective. And I've brought a ton of people over. Yeah. Sold a lot of dissident shotguns in the last 3 years. That's for sure.
Right. Literally 2 nights ago, I'm like, I don't want to hear any bullshit. So everyone shot PCC and pistol and all this stuff. I'm like, see, it's awesome. It's easy. Like, I don't want to hear it. And then, well, I don't have the rig. I have 17 guns, 17 holsters, 17 like magazines, mag pouches. Ammo's a little bit more difficult these days. I'll still give it some, but I'm like, yeah. I tell people your first match is on me too. If you want to come, I'll pay the match fee. I'll bring everything else. You just show up. Like,
that's cool. That's super cool.
I want people in it.
Yeah, I've done that a bunch of times. I brought my friend Stefan several times, and I think the first couple times he shot a Glock pistol at a Tuesday night steel match, which most matches at Rio Salado, I mean, one way or another, regardless of what match you shoot there, and I'm not talking bad about any other clubs by default, but that particular club, it doesn't matter what squad or what kind of discipline you're going to shoot. There's going to be monsters on that squad. There's going to be dudes that'll make you feel this big.
Yep.
So I know he felt the heat, and most of the squads that I'd be on back there, I shot with my friends who were also pretty good at this. And the first couple of times he shot an iron-sighted pistol, and I was like, well, maybe we could put a dot on that thing, bud, and make it a little bit more fun. As much as I'm all about the fundamentals. I mean, I started with iron sights, as a little boy, obviously, from BB guns to pistols to rifles and shotguns and everything. But the dot does take some of the learning curve off for a lot of people. So
especially 2 eyes open is the biggest thing I see.
Right. And it can buffer. And I'm not above, don't get it wrong. Like, I'm not above bringing somebody and just bypassing iron sights altogether, because I'll do it. I have no qualms with that. Not at all. I mean, modern technology is a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's probably good to figure out, in case that dot goes out, that you can still, you still have a point of aim that's somewhat natural, and you're not so relying on it. But
oh, did you see my video where my dot flew off 2-gun?
Yep.
So I bought that PCC for my buddy, and he's like, oh, I'm getting a new gun and I'm gonna do an offset 45. And I was like, this is 2 days ago. I was like, F you. And he's like, we couldn't figure out what was wrong. I'm like, I'm done. So I put my own red dot, do my own offset or irons. Like, it's bullshit. But oh my God, that was the worst experience ever. I did get my hits ish, but I hit some no shoots because they were stacked. So perfectly.
Yep. Yeah, it happens, man. I mean, I've been fortunate. I've never had a dot turn off on me in the middle of a match. I mean, ever. I had a couple times where in practice I had drawn a gun and neglected to turn my dot on, like in practice.
Yeah.
Remember, I drew it and I didn't see my dot, but I shot anyway, which I think, as most open shooters would do, you have a natural kind of point of aim. And if I'm trying to go like top speed and there's no shoot, I don't care where the dot is. I have I don't give 2 shits about where the dot's at. So I'd done that naturally a couple times, and I'd hit steel, at long enough where I kind of surprised myself.
Yeah, awesome.
And then I started practicing a little bit without it, just to see, shooting plate racks.
Of course you did.
And it's like, I mean, I wasn't ping, 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 but I mean, I at a probably a 1 second cadence, I could still hit things. So that kind of made me feel good. And then I went right back to turning my dot back on and went back to practice. But
there you go.
Yeah, getting newer people in. I don't know about giving them like, all the high speed, things that, I probably wouldn't give them a 20 round stick of 12 gauge in my Dissident, most people that I give that gun to that know how to shoot, somewhat.
Yeah.
I
They'd
give,
AD pretty quickly too when you get on those triggers.
right. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. They're fast. It's a big gun. It'll move you around a little bit, and it requires, you gotta get to know the gal before you start going crazy, right?
So much fun. I had a guy back in my community that let me shoot his, and of course Joel Turner. And I just wanted to go really fast and ham. So I remember I took a class with him, and I'm trying to go fast. He's like, "You still have to aim." I was like, "Yeah, but you don't really, because you can just make up really fast."
Yeah. Yeah.
Love the gun.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
It's a fun gun to shoot. That's for sure.
Yeah. Before I get into TriGun too, any thoughts about sharing like something that's totally unique about the 3-gun community that you can't find anywhere else?
So I think the unsaid level of respect is something that I haven't seen. And I was a competitive skateboarder. I was a competitive mountain biker. I've been competing for quite a while in different communities, which required me to travel to different places.
Same. Yep.
And I feel like even the 3-gunners that aren't like super friendly, they'll give you enough respect to just keep their mouth shut until they can get a better feel, and however many sniffs it takes for them to kind of warm up and be kind of cool,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know if you could probably see it. I'm covered literally from my face to my ankle in tattoos. So you add that to the mix, and it makes it a little bit more challenging. I mean, I'm not crying about it or anything, but it takes a little bit longer for some people to warm up to me, especially if you're older than me. And
Yeah.
there's still, luckily, a lot of people that are older than me.
Well, I feel like we have that a little bit in common too. Before you keep going on, when I show up, I had somebody make a comment of like, "Oh, there's a female now," and I'm just like, and I said, "Fuck you." I was like, "That's super super sexist. I wouldn't be here if I couldn't handle it."
Right.
And that's the same thing too. Like when I show up, I guess I have to figure out how to talk to people, or if I can be myself, or how sarcastic can I be, or can I take shit and give it back? Because there are some people that can't.
Right.
But yeah, same thing.
There's some things that there's some things even for me that certain people say certain things and assume that I'm going to be okay with it because we have the same friends. Like this happened to me in Texas 3-gun championship, where I'd driven up to a stage, and a guy that we have a lot of mutual friends with, that I don't really know that well, that I've talked to a few times here and there at matches, but not a whole lot, had said something to me that was, kind of obnoxious a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I actually thought about it and really digested it, I was pretty upset, pretty frustrated. And I shared that with one of our mutual friends, and wound up having a decent conversation with that guy in the same hotel room later in the night.
Wow.
But I mean, still, nobody's immune to it. And I don't have any beef with that guy, but still, you say some shit, and I was right at that phase where, do I say something and create a serious issue out of this,
Mm-hmm.
or do I not? And I decided to just leave it alone. But there is, I mean, some people have a way shorter fuse, and you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and they can make a problem out of it. But
Yeah.
I mean, at your age, you probably just keep on ruffling feathers and pick up the aftermath, all the pieces later. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. That's your advice. So
Mhm.
really don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. They'll either get over it or they'll be pissed for a long time. That's what my friend Jeremy says, and it's pretty accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or as I tell my wife, you'll either get over it or you'll fucking die.
That's
One
it.
way, somewhere, it's gonna be one or the other. I don't think it'll be anywhere in between. So,
Yeah. I know we got off track too about the level of respect for 3-gun. I think like where you going with like, a lot of people don't have the balls to go shoot all 3 guns and learn all 3 platforms, right? And it's like, at least they're trying. We're glad that they're out there rather than shooting one gun or.
right. Yeah. Well, there's the trust, right? There's the respect, and that's huge. But the trust in, and as primitive and archaic as it may sound, I'm not going to shoot you and you're not going to shoot me. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to watch you until I see you shoot a little bit. But
Right.
I have a sneaky suspicion that you know how to handle that, that piece of iron there. So I think those are 2 big things, and they're important in what we do. But you you have to be a different type of person to put yourself in that kind of environment. And there's some of us that live it every day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I live it every single day. I'm sure you do too. Yep. Firearms are part of my everyday life, but there's also folks that I have friends that are surgeons. I have friends that are lawyers, that are all types of other professions that maybe aren't. And I have a couple friends, like my friend Kelly, who's a lawyer and also a gun freak, like 10 times over me by 100 times over me, that plays with guns every day. But some people don't. So they might not be as enthusiastic, and they may not be up to, as up to speed on what the newest, latest and greatest gizmos and gadgets are, and all that stuff. So I think that respect's always pretty cool, no matter what.
I'll remember. Do you know Bruce Davidson?
No.
Oh, I can't wait for you to meet him. He's in Kentucky. He's the one that does like the high value targets and all the insane like 5-minute blue line stages.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of him.
So much fun to be around. Well, he's always just like, hey, load up your shit. Just make sure you shoot your car. If you're going to shoot anything, that's where you load it up. Just point it at your vehicle. We're like, got it, dude. Yeah. But like we had a stage where we were running up a hill and we were shooting 2 stages at once. The shooter would go to the right, shooter would go to the left, and they wouldn't be on the same time, but they beat the same. We did shotgun, shotgun, shotgun. Well, coming up the hill, we're turning with our guns, and there's literally people sitting in the back of their vehicles waiting to go up next. But it's like, hey, like you're not going to point the gun this way, all the targets to the left or all the targets to the right. But people saw that video, freaked out. They're like, wait, there's people downrange. I'm like, dude, we're not all going back down the hill and up, down. Like, just not a thing. Bird shot, anyways. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another whole other point now that I think about it, that how some people are a little bit more relaxed about, rules and commands and things like that. Like at Rio Salado, and I said this on Dave's podcast at least once, like it's very, very black and white. Like there's very little to no gray area for you to be creative when it comes to rules and what responsible gun handling is interpreted as. So at Rio, and even range commands, like the range command is make ready. Yeah. And that's it, and when you're done, guess what? If you're finished, load, show me clear, and so on and so forth, depending on what gun it is. Mm-hmm. Well, like when I came out here, these guys, I mean, remember I'm close to Philly. So the range command and the few people that'll, the guys that I know that I kind of play around with this will probably get a kick out of this one. They say, go ahead, make ready. So it's not like I'm used to you tell me make ready. And if you say anything other than make ready, I'm going to look at you and ask, make ready?
Like, is that good? Yeah.
Can you give me the actual 2 words that I need? So they'll say, go ahead, make ready. And I get a kick out of it. It's absolutely hilarious. And they don't, I mean, now I'm sure they do it, just to kind of mess with me, but, and I say it to them too. It's funny. It's different. It's just it's cool. It's fun.
But a flagged gun is a stick, essentially. If I see a flag, cool. What I go back and forth about is like if I see a PC, a shotgun, a rifle, whatever, with a flag in it, it's dead, correct? But then that pistol that's in that holster with the slide closed, it's Schrodinger's cat. I don't know if they cleared it. I don't know if the RO cleared it. I don't know if someone picked it up and got that round out. I know so many people that had John Wydell. What was that time where he sent one off at the table because RO didn't clear his gun, Yeah,
it was at a match last year, right?
Yeah, so that stuff happens. I won't go too far into that, but I think that sometimes like the other matches where I get so scared to touch a gun, like a 2-gun, like an RO was terrified because I picked up the gun to make ready, that heightens a level of fear of firearms and it doesn't help anybody out. And I was even uncomfortable. So at that moment, I'm like, holy crap, like I don't know what to do, right? Right. That's worse.
I think it's important to understand the rules of the place at the place you're going. Like that's something that I'll give you a teaser, or I'll just tell you now. So the most important thing that I try to tell people that are traveling to matches for the first time away from home is read the rules, dude. I mean, book in the bookend. Yep. I mean, I would even go as far as to read the division requirements outside of for your friends that aren't going to read them. Yeah. So they don't show up and shoot heavy metal and bring, a 30-round magazine or a D50 and realize that now they're in open. Yeah. I mean, that shit happens every match, and if you don't know, and, then you don't know. So if you understand what the protocol is, where can I, you'll see a lot of people. I know Josh Fralick was when we shot Mystery Mountain this year, we squatted together on that one too. And, where can we change our chokes? That was something that, the first couple stages we were, he was understanding what the rules are, what to do, and how to not get yelled at. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the mental management part of TriGun. When you get to a certain level where now it's not about the shooting as much, it's not about, anything but mental management and stage planning. Execution is obviously, imperative, but when you get to a certain level, you have to start really maintaining a mental mindset of optimism. And I think being able to come back from, a poor performance or a poor stage or whatever it may be, keeping your mind in the game so that you stay in the mix. Otherwise you'll fall out of the mix in a second.
Yeah.
So the fewer times that people yell at you at a major match, the better. I mean, in a local match too, but at a match where you're a guest at someone else's home,
Yeah.
knowing where to change your jokes and where not to, especially with, the dissonant guns that, if you bring them around someone that's never seen them before, they're like, "Oh, is that an anti-aircraft gun?" Or "Look at the muzzle brake on that thing," and all the things people say.
Like,
so
safety's off. No, you don't know how to work the safety. Like, here we are.
Right. So
how
you
to
just
clear
gotta
an
learn.
AK.
Yeah, learn what you're not allowed to do, and then what you can do is limitless, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen the video I posted of Adam Maxwell's stage brief at Vortex TriGun? I'm gonna have to send it. It was on Facebook. I don't know if we're friends on Facebook. I'll send it to you. But he was so adamant about, the pistol retreat on the swinger. He's like, please do not point it in this direction. It has to be in that direction. Like, do not complacent. And then this shotgun target cannot be shot backwards. Like, it's so dumb, but it's so real.
It's quite the character that guy is. He's quite the character. He's funny because there was a long, like he'll even tell the story. If you ask him, he'll tell you the story of when we first met. He gave me a stage DQ, and we were talking about it when we were at the TriGun. We were talking about it where he DQ'd me. I don't think we met before then. And he basically said, "Well, I'll never be friends with that guy. Look at that guy covered in tattoos. Like we'll never be friends." Yeah. And which is funny because this time last year, I shot the Wisconsin State 3-gun championship, which was my investment year, right? Going back to, so I was planning on going there and giving the kid a run for his money, but I wound up canceling and it was just too much travel. I have a lot of things going on with work and being away from, out of practice and all these other things. So I'm done shooting majors for the year.
Well, and then Adam DQs at TriGun.
Yeah. But like this time last year at Wisconsin, I stayed at his house, with him and Rachel for a couple of days. So it's funny how, going back to that respect thing, that you never really know,
No, you have no clue. And he's so quiet, introverted when you first meet him. No joke. I met him this year at Low Cap Nationals. And I was like, why are you shooting, low cap nationals? That's not our game, not his game. But actually he didn't know the rules. He didn't know that he could call for an overlay. He didn't know that he could pull a target. He didn't know like all of these things that I was teaching him. I didn't know who he was too. I mean, he's awesome. He's a big deal at Vortex and, does a lot of good for the community, but he's a hoot. He's the funniest person I've ever met. It's quick and it's quiet and you're like, what?
The first match we ever shot together at one of Pete's matches in Vegas. I don't remember which one it was. They're pretty much all the same. I'm not going to say much more on that, but they're pretty much all the same. So I don't remember which one it was, but I went to this match and he and I were shooting on the same squad, and he had a really bad like assault shaker 2011 magazine that put him in a bad spot. Yeah. And then he had the opportunity to reshoot, and he kind of was hesitant about it. And the reshoot had nothing to do with the pistol. It had to do with the fact that they called a hit or didn't call a hit on the longer range rifle portion out of sequence, or something wasn't right over there at the end of his stage. And Adam, when you get to know him a little bit better, you'll learn that Adam is borderline anarchist when it comes to utilizing the rule book. Like he wants you to use the rule book and challenge everything. That's
why I made do it at low cap. I'm like, call that, make them overlay, make them pull that, and that's their job.
So he and I chatted about it, and I was like, Adam, you had a salt shaker shit show over here. Like, take the reshoot, bud. You know what I mean? It's not. I mean, it can't get worse than what it was. and he took the reshoot and just crushed the stage. I'd be surprised if it wasn't a stage win. And he put his guns down, and he started coming at me like high speed coming at me. And, you know, Adam's not a huge guy, but he's not someone that I want coming at me too fast. And he came at me and just bear hugged me and gave me a big hug and told me thank you. And it was pretty cool. And so started our relationship. But
Awesome.
super solid, dude. Yeah. Yep.
Well, I'm gonna send you that video. It's a ride. It's like 4 minutes long. But if you people listening, you can ask me for the video. It's so worth it. I didn't even catch the first portion. Then I had to start video. I'm like, I can't miss it.
Dude, it sets the tone, right? If you're an RO and you're listening to this and you do this at major matches, especially, like how you read, you know, the stage description and how you read that. I mean, there's the really cut and dry and do this and I'm gonna DQ you, do that and I'm gonna DQ you. There's that, and then the polar opposite being so animated that you're just distracting everything else they're supposed to be telling you. And then somewhere in the middle, there's a nice, calm, cool, collective, fun person that has some energy, but not too much energy and not shitty energy, good positive vibes, right? That sets the tone for everybody. You know, these are the sponsors. Thank our sponsors. You know, the major matches that, you know, I've only worked at my home club at Mystery Mountain as far as major matches. I would stop and say, you know, why is anybody clapping for our sponsors? Right. Let's clap for our sponsors. You know, just having little fun jokes and things like that. And it's worked out super well. So that's an important one.
Absolutely. So let's talk about TriGun. So you landed 4th in open. And if people listen to the podcast with Dave and Kim, you know, you talked about you're betting on yourself to win, but you're also setting realistic expectations and goals, like you said, baseline and practice sessions and all of that. So for Nordic TriGun, were you disappointed with the results or surprised by, you know, where you ended up?
I wouldn't say disappointed. I was disappointed in my performance on the very last stage. So Tucker and I we had some fun words of competition words with each other at Mystery Mountain. So I think he finished a little lower than he wanted to, but he was after day one. I shot like on a Friday, Saturday schedule. He shot on a Saturday, Sunday schedule. Okay. So when I was finishing my day 2, he was just, you know, halfway, 3/4 in the way of day 1. So I'd finished the match, and, you know, that's as they say in Philly, my John. So I took my ass around every stage on, you know, after I was done shooting on Saturday and on Sunday, and watched everyone shoot. You know, a lot of my friends that traveled into town, and you know how it goes, all your buddies. So I chatted with Tucker, and we kind of talked about, you know, we need to go give Johnny a run for his money, and I think he coined the term Operation Crush Wydell or something like that. So we kind of joked around about it there. So when we got to, and I'd say Tucker and I on a 3-gun level I think we shoot a lot of, you know, we're about the same age. I'd say we're probably pretty close to each other as far as skill set wise. Yeah. So my goal there was to do well and shoot top 3. That was my plan. Gotcha. And that was perfectly in line up to my last stage. My very last stage, I made a huge error and kind of went to war. A couple other people, Riley on my squad, did the same thing. Kind of went to war on a target that I was shooting. You know, I needed to shoot over here, and I was shooting through this barrel, and not knowing why I'm not getting an offhand rifle hit. And I did it for probably a solid 30 seconds. And it cost me that 3rd place finish. Yeah. So I'm not stoked about that part, and kind of, I don't know, it was depressing initially, but 15 minutes later, you know, I'm shooting the shit with Connor and Josh and my dad, and kind of talking a little bit about, you know, it is what it is. Right. So,
yeah. And Connor did really well.
He did.
Oh my God. I saw it. He topped, was it Infinity's junior camp? Did he win that whole thing or whatever?
I think so. Yeah.
He's crushing it.
Yep. He's a hoot.
I gotta tell you, I met him too at Multi-Gun Nationals. I don't know. Did you hear that he like roped himself and choked himself on it? No. He didn't see the rope, whatever, and choked himself. And I was like, what the hell? So he had this red mark bleeding.
Oh boy.
What happened? Yeah. So that's how I met. I was like, you're about to die. He just choked himself out.
Yeah, I talked with him a little bit. I don't know that I'd met him before Texas Three Gun, but I chatted with him a little bit at Texas Three Gun, and I chatted with him 2 or 3 times at the TriGun. Yeah,
It's crazy how they
nice.
grow up too. The hair, the like everything changes.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I saw him post. So I'm like still a beginner runner. I try my best to run regularly, but it's not my favorite thing in the world to do.
Mm-mm.
So I was watching but I'm more of a I like to run a 5K. It's like
Yes.
kind of like my goal every time I go and I run.
Yeah.
So I was watching. I was looking at Instagram the other day, and I was looking at He had posted something about he broke a 5-minute mile, and I remember reading that, and I'm like, sweet Jesus, I don't know about that. I don't know how far I don't know how far I could run at that pace to finish less than 5 minutes, but
Mm-mm.
it's probably not horribly far, like to the road, and I'm in the city, so it's not far. Super close.
So gross. Yeah. Yeah.
Seems like a nice dude, though.
Yeah, he is. And his dad's awesome. I kept trying though to get his dad to borrow a gun. It was a shotgun, right? Those issues? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not my problem. But what was your favorite stage of the TriGun match?
So I think my favorite stage was the one where it was shotgun. Oh, I took a note of it. It was stage 6. So shotgun pistol, where you start like most of us started up front, kind of ran backwards, and
Yes.
I ran around the bay.
Yep.
That's probably the stage. It's not my favorite stage design, but it's my favorite performance that I had there. So
Good.
naturally, that's gonna be my favorite. The shopping cart stage is probably a super close second,
So
because
hard.
that one was. So we came off of our jungle run stage, and we started walking up, and I saw a friend of mine that's like in stupid good shape, like, well, Nathan Payne.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's in stupid good shape, and I see him kind of huffing and puffing at that last part, not moving fast, let's just say that. And I saw that, and I was like, oh man. And then I saw a couple other friends of mine that I know are in decent shape, and I saw him at that last spot, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna be tired as balls when I get up there with my pistol. I'm just gonna keep that in my head. And I shot that stage pretty well as well. But then Adam Maxwell's stage, I don't know what the stage was. I
Two.
didn't shoot. I didn't shoot it that great. I mean, I shot the pistol portion pretty good. It looks kind of wonky looking at my video, but the pistol part was super easy. I've in the past really had some rough times with pistol spinners at majors. I don't know why, but that's probably one of the few that I've ever done outside of Rio Salado that was a piece of cake. It
Yeah.
actually went over, and I didn't even anticipate it to go over yet. But just shooting a stage with Adam and all of his antics and funniness.
Flip
Like
flop,
I said,
water pouch, backpack, like just ridiculous.
just how he reads, how he insinuates things, and how he really sets you up for a
Yeah.
positive stage to shoot. So that was a really fun stage. I shot, I think, 2 or 3 shotgun no shoots um, on that stage, but I didn't have a problem with the swinging no shoot nonsense. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I was so concentrated on that I didn't even really give those targets, a lot of those no shoot targets, the
Like
respect
respect.
that they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That match was very much and Adam told me this as soon as I got in. I got in, and I tried to walk stages. I couldn't get a flight in Thursday that I liked. So my dad and I flew in on Wednesday. He came with me to this match, and he's coming with me to a couple matches this year. He's coming with me to a few AK matches that maybe we'll talk about in a little bit.
Heck yeah.
But he flew with me to this match, and so we showed up on Wednesday and kind of just tooled around, the Twin Cities area. Went to Shields and all kinds of other places I've never been
Same.
before.
Got primers.
Oh, dude, we went in there for a long time, and yeah, I saw the primers in there. We tried to walk stages on Thursday, I think it was, or whatever day we weren't supposed to. We went there, and they were like, yeah, you can't really. And I was like, well, I'm going to go see Adam. And then I realized, you know what, I'm just going to go back and find some other things to do. And I think we went and had some lunch or whatever. But I went back and saw Adam right when he just DQ'd. And he was telling me that it's very much like a marksmanship type match. And I was like, that's interesting. But as I was shooting it, after a couple stages, I realized, what he's talking about. And that's how that match was. I mean, it was a very accuracy speaks type match. So I had some questions. I posted on my Instagram after this match, after the TriGun, that there's a reason that all of the Instagram personalities don't show up to this match. And it's because it's like a grown ass man's match.
Yeah.
Like it's you need to have your shit together to shoot a match like that and be competitive and be good, because it takes the full spectrum. Not only do you have to be a good shooter, you have to be an accurate shooter, and you have to be an athlete, right? I mean,
yeah.
am I wrong?
No, I mean, I'm not that great, and I love that match. Like, I want to go back to that match. I thought that was so much fun. Stage 7 was my favorite, where you got to pick the starter gun, which I went with shotgun, of course.
Which one
Remember,
was
it was you picked shotgun or pistol or rifle, and rifle had the little clay in the box, and you went up to the platform.
Yeah.
I thought it was so much fun. That was my favorite. And I did really well on the shotgun retreat pistol, whatever stage. But yeah, I mean, that was one of my questions, is like, if you could pinpoint one skill, normally, like, I want to say Mountain State 3-gun, for example, that's a rifle match. That is 100%, because it's time. So if you can't shoot long range, you're and it's 40 seconds per miss or whatever, you're screwed. But that was endurance. The jungle run was fun, but that was Kim Peterson likes to fall. I don't think he fell this time, did he?
I didn't hear about it.
Oh, he did a pro-am.
I usually whines and complains about it and milks it for days and days on end and shows you his scabs and just joking, Kim. Just joking.
Just joking.
Not really.
No, I love him, and I was just nervous about tripping and falling in the forest. The grocery cart was brutal. That was harder to start than I thought it would be, but yeah.
Like I said in that podcast with him, those boys in Minnesota and Wisconsin as well are very much shotgun enthusiasts, and they push the needle when it comes to shotgun work. I mean, I didn't have any no shoots. I didn't have any failure to engages. I didn't have any of that stuff, but I had shotgun no shoots, Like I didn't have any problems with my pistol, didn't shoot anything I wasn't supposed to. Same with my rifle. I had on the stage, on the long range stage, I had an interesting, I decided to use a bipod, which was kind of weird in that first position. It was actually really weird and very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I mean, once I got my body right and contorted the way that it needed to be to shoot.
Which window did you go in?
Bottom right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the same one that most people did. I did, you play this game in open where you have all these gizmos and gadgets, and it's kind of like, it's kind of like the kiss of death in a lot of people's performance, in that you want to use them all the time. But if you don't have any reps and you don't know how to use those bags and the bipods and all that kind of stuff, then it can be quite the hindrance. So better off shooting tack gear in a lot of places. But I had done the measurements, and I use sticks and all kinds of things to kind of measure, and I'm going back and looking at my bipod and taking it off, and no, I'm not going to use it. Yeah, I am going to use it, and I'm going to use it deployed. No, I'm not going to use it deployed. And I went through all of that whole gambit, and shot that stage pretty well. But I mean, overall, I didn't have any issues with my rifle and my pistol, but my shotgun, like I must have shot like probably 5 or 6 no shoots, something like that.
I'm so proud of my shotgun then. I didn't do any of that jazz.
Yeah.
But they were tight. Yep. And if you, like, especially the jungle, if you shot it from the right angle, you could avoid that. But if you don't know your chokes and you don't know the right spot, that's really easy to do.
The first time that I shot that match, we shot the jungle run, and it ate my lunch. Like, it was the hardest stage I've ever had in my life. And it was like that stage was significantly harder, because in that spot where we started, you actually started in the sporting clay box. If you were shooting tack, you're loading out of that, like there's caddies on the front of that thing.
Yeah.
So your shotgun is empty and you're loading out of that.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Then you're shooting sporting clays, like legit, like clay throwers in that area. And then you're ending, I think you started with one or ended with one, but there's like legit sporting clays, like not like kind of like, toaster like we shoot in 3-gun. No, there's clay throwers shooting them. Like one of them, I remember one of them was coming right at you, and it was like a crosser of sorts, but at high speed. So it was just a nail in the coffin for me. Like I missed them both, I'm pretty sure. And I'd already had like probably the worst stage by a solid 20% of my life, and then they throw that at you. It's like, all right, I might as well just put my mouth out and just take this thing to the face.
Hey, a hit's a hit.
So that stage, I walked that thing for quite a while, a solid hour probably.
Yeah.
The day before, and then walked it another, 10 or 12 times that afternoon or that morning before we shot it. That was our first stage of the day. So yeah, I felt solid about that performance. Those things are, I mean, that's probably the third or fourth one I've ever done in my life. So it was it's still like so epic to me. I'm like, oh, I get so jacked up and trying to run, and you got a bunch of monsters that you're shooting with that are super good. So
at least you had it fresh on a day. That was one that got added onto our schedule. You know how they added one to everybody on Saturday or whatever.
Right.
We're totally doing jungle. We're like, oh, like the end of this day, no.
Yeah.
But shot it clean, but it was rough. Yeah, it was. And I like the throwers. Did you shoot Fort Benning in 2019?
Never been to that match.
They had paired whatever, like 45 miles an hour is what it felt like to me. So many people missed all of them. I think a couple people hit one, but you would shoot one, and as soon as you shot they would send the next one. Just
report pair.
Yeah, that's what it's called. I never remember that. I gotta talk about too the numbers and the colors on stage 9. So did you see anyone who was shooting like the paper instead of the ground targets, or just had no? Yeah.
So I shot second on the stage prior, on the all pistol stage. So Jacob shot, then I shot, and then all the other people in my squad shot. And Tucker Schmidt had shot that stage, the rifle, the color stage. What stage was it? Stage 8?
Stage 9, last one.
9. So he was shooting stage 9 when I was coming off of, I assume, what was stage 8?
Yeah, the pistol.
Okay. So I saw him make ready. I saw him go up there, and I saw him just going to war. Boom, boom, boom. And that guy's a PRS shooter, and and super good at shooting a rifle. And great at shooting a pistol too. I haven't seen him shoot a shotgun, but I assume it's pretty good.
Yeah, right.
So I hear him up there just going to war, and I walked up, and I can't see what's happening, and I don't really have a solid idea of what's going on that stage. I told myself I'll figure that stage out when I get there. It seems way too hokey, but overall it was just like straight up shooting, which
you can't plan. You just got to remember colors and numbers and spots.
Yeah. So I saw him, and I walked up, and I remember I turned my ass around, big eyes, like big eye, this emoji, and turned my ass around and walked right back out. And I talked to him, and he told me that's what he was doing. He was shooting the
Tucker.
The color. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. So that was the stage that he screwed up royally. And then the last stage that I screwed up was my, stage I screwed up royally. So we're looking at, how that's what we were trying to figure out,
whose was worse.
But yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure mine won. So yeah, I saw him do that. So I walked, and obviously I was the first shooter on our squad on that one. And somebody had to be the sacrifice, and it was me. But it was cool. I mean, I was with a good group of guys, and they all clapped when I was done, because it's challenging. It's a hard stage.
Yeah, I was walking that with Dylan Easley the day before, him, Garrett, and I, and Dylan had figured out there's a pattern to it. Did he tell you about any of this?
No.
Dumb. There was actually a pattern where it was like front and then middle or whatever, and so like you could replicate it back and forth, and he's trying to memorize it, and I was actually trying to, and I was like, never mind, it's just stupid, just look at the thing, like read it out loud, and then just go to war basically. But that was a fun stage. But if you didn't know your colors or your numbers or to shoot the ground, you screwed up.
The very first position, I shot him out of order and didn't hear a hit call, and made the correction. I didn't know where I screwed up, so I started over. Boom, 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 and then from there out, it was a piece of cake. I mean, offhand rifle shooting was my nemesis for probably 2 years, I'd say.
Yeah.
So I practiced the shit out of it. I bought a plate rack from MGM, like the plate rack in a bucket. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've ever seen that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So you just need some 2x4s to set it up. I bought that thing, and I'd set it up at 50 yards, 75 yards, depending on what bay I was at. And I would shoot it, plate racks, for as long as my shoulders would allow. And then I put my gun down, and then I'd pick it up and shoot it for as long. So I tuned that right out of my issue log. So that stage was just stand and deliver. So
It was so much
That was
fun.
a good one for me, where I just that's what I would call like a stay the course stage, where you don't have to rip it, you know, super hard and go as fast as you can. Definitely not a Jack Smith grip it and rip it stage. But
Did you know him prior, by the way, Jack?
I don't know him at all.
Oh, he's
I
awesome.
I followed him for a long time, and what I tend to do from time to time is that I try not to stay on Instagram for long periods of time.
Mhm.
So, and I don't know, this is probably a good thing to say on a place like in a place like this, but if your content drifts from what I want to see, then I'll stop following you. You know, and if I see you posting things that are something that I like,
Mhm.
then I'll bring it back up. And that's mainly for shooters. Like companies, I just kind of eat it. But I have a limited amount of time that I view Instagram, and it's not all day, every day. So when I open it up, I want to see the content that I want to see for myself. So if it strays away from what I want, that's it. So I haven't seen Jack's. I started following him again after your podcast,
Mhm.
and yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot of his content. So hopefully it keeps it up.
It's funny that you said that. Jack has asked me, and he'll hear this 17 different times throughout his life, what to do with this content. And I've given him, because I'm a marketing professional by trade.
By trade.
By trade. Yeah, I've told him over and over again, here's what you need to do. This is what you need to post. This is what would be interesting, right? And I call him out too. And I see something he's already posted. I'm such an asshole. I'm like, that was from last year. And he's like, shut up. I'm like, well, I've seen it already. So
Yeah.
Anyway, love you, Jack. Okay, let's go over to AK.
Okay.
This new hotness. You already said you're going to shoot some more AK Master or AK matches, and you recently went to AK Masters at Clinton House, and completely crushed it. So I didn't get to go, but you got to tell me, what were the stages like at that match?
So my dad and I just got back from the TriGun, and my dad and I we decided this was going to be. So let me back up a little bit. So I started shooting for IWI shortly after moving here and seeing the relationships that are already there. They're very close with Dissident Arms, which is my very first sponsor. They're very close, or I should say, Jeremy is very close with Vortex and all, you know, two of the three guys that I deal with regularly at Vortex that are, you know, close friends of mine. So that circle made sense. I was looking for a different rifle sponsor that wasn't just here's a code, share this with people, and here's some rifles and things like that. Like I'm at the point where I want to be able to grow with you and evolve. If we're doing the same shit everybody else is doing, then I'm really not that interested.
Yeah.
So
rifle's a rifle. Yeah.
it is. Yeah. And especially with IWIs, when it comes to their rifle, I mean, it's an $850 MSRP AR-15, you know, that I put a trigger, a gas block, and a muzzle brake in, and it's just as competitive.
Yeah.
I mean, ask most of the people that I've shot against. So I don't know. The AK thing is interesting. It's a whole different culture. It's a whole different group of people and subset of everything that I know. And they are the nicest, coolest, interested in more information, funnest crowd that I've encountered in all of competitive shooting so far. And it's ironic, and it serves me right, because I was really quick to judge that book by its cover, which is something I kind of pride myself in never doing. But I fell victim to it like everybody else.
So not PCC, you judge the AKs?
Yeah.
What?
Just the whole thing. I mean, it's a whole different environment, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It's just totally. I mean, they dress up in different outfits. I mean, it's completely different. And I've been very, very good at you know, poking fun at my friends that are wearing plate carriers and picking on Russell and all the things that I've been accustomed to doing with people.
You wouldn't wear a Hawaiian shirt?
I mean, I wear a Hawaiian shirt every Friday because it's, you know, Aloha Friday, you know, but I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't. I mean, I might look like, you know, some weird dude with a whole costume next year. I couldn't tell you, but my dad and I came off of TriGun, which was a big travel match, you know, and like you were saying with Jack the other day, you know, traveling with TriGun gear is intense. You know, it's a lot. There's so much going on. You know, it's just a lot. So the opportunity to travel from Pennsylvania to South Carolina, which we decided to drive, with one gun, you know, all I had to do was shoot a Galil, and that's it. It's quite the treat, to say the least.
Yeah.
So we loaded up my Polaris Ranger, and I brought, enough ammo to shoot the match 7 times, all kinds of things. You know what I mean? You don't have to clean those guns, so you can pretty much just, you don't have to lube them or anything. They just keep going.
Just run.
So it was interesting. We pulled up, and the first couple stages that I saw were all bay stages, and they were well put together USPSA type stages. So initially, my dad was like, well, this is going to be a cakewalk. After seeing what the TriGun was like, where I have to run over there, and
Yep.
So you got the shirt to prove it. So
Sure.
yeah. So I don't know. Initially I was like, man, this is going to be weird. This looks like a cakewalk and a piece of cake. And as I started breaking it down a little bit more, I'm like, well, if it's a piece of cake for me, it's going to be a piece of cake for other people. And I don't know about the local talent that they had there. But I do know that there was almost an entire squad of my friends from Arizona.
Oh, okay.
That showed up that are the same exact dudes that I was talking about earlier that are, very much 2-gunners that weren't interested in shotgunning and now slowly coming around.
Shooting AK. And my buddy from the Marine Corps team, he's retired from that now, but he's in Quantico. He went and shot it. And I think he was second or something, Anthony DiTio. He shot 2 divisions or PCC and AK. Anyways, I had friends from Tennessee go. I almost went to that match, but I didn't have a gun.
Yeah, I didn't meet him. I have a pretty good idea who he was, now that you say that.
Little short dude. Love you, Anthony, but short dude.
Yeah. Italian or something like that. Yeah.
Super nice.
Yeah, I think he was squatted with my friends, or he was somewhere where I had, shared a couple, quick exchange, and he was a nice guy. It seemed pretty cool, but pretty intense, a little intense maybe.
He hadn't shot in like a year and a half, I think. So I was really glad that he went at least.
Yeah, so I knew that my friends that have been, there's 4 or 5 of them that have been putting in the work. Specifically, my friend Ethan has been putting in a ton of work, and my friend Neil too. They've been putting in a ton of work. And I don't know. I knew that those guys were they were gonna put up a fight. My friend Sully, shit, I should probably say all their names. They're gonna be. You
didn't call me out.
But I knew I was gonna have my work cut out just in those dudes, and from traveling to several matches now, there's always people that I don't know that are at a home court advantage, like the guy who won Texas 3-gun championship, that I've never heard of. I think I've been following him for a long time, but never seen him at any other match. But that home court advantage is a real deal, so I respect it for sure. So anyway, I don't know. I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. We got there on Friday, kind of set up the IWI booth. We sat at the IWI booth for, I don't have a super good attention span. So I sat and, I would kind of help out with the booth. We had four Galils, Gen 2 Galil aces on the table that people could come up and some swag and stuff. So I stayed behind there, and then I would just go get on my buggy and drive around again, and go and talk to Brian a little bit, Hunter's HD.
Yeah.
And what's his last name?
Brian Conley.
Brian Conley. Yeah, I'd go talk to him a little bit. And
do you have a Con of Gold, by the way?
I did not.
Those are so good. So good.
So I don't know. As I started seeing some more people shoot, I was like, you know what? I need to take this a little bit more seriously. I think I was thinking this is going to be some sort of vacation. It was going to be a piece of cake, but it's not going to be. And it looks like we're going to be shooting in the rain a little bit.
Yep.
So yeah, I went and I shot in our very first stage. My friend, so Mike Whitesides of Dissonant Arms, Mike and Lamb both went, and he had told me, he said, hey, on this stage, you can bypass a shooting position by shooting those targets at the very end of the stage where you're going to end up. So I get to the end and I shoot those, there's 2 stacked targets, and, you're kind of, threading the needle a little bit with some trees. And I shoot those 2 targets, 3 at one, and I think 2 at the other ones. I saw some I didn't like, so I threw another one at it. And then I went down to some steel and a plate rack at distance and went 1 for 1 and crushed it. I mean, set the tone real well. And the first stage of a big match like that is usually the most important to me, to kind of set that tone and get the momentum going a little bit.
Yep.
So the guy's down there scoring, and I see him, kind of looking around, and, and he doesn't find any hits on either of them. Or he finds one, or something bad happened. I think I had one that neutralized the bottom target, but the top one, nobody found.
No result.
So that set the tone in a poor manner.
Mhm.
So usually, in a, I would say last year, the year before, that would put me in a, oh my God, I got to go faster. I got to go faster. But now it just increased my interest. And now it put me in a different level, which was the mindset I needed to continue for the rest of that match and stay consistent. But overall, it was an absolute blast. I mean, the shooting was challenging and fast and slow, a little bit of precision, some
Sammy life.
Sammys, yep. Some offhand rifle stuff. There was a little small short course stage that that I had shot super well, went 1-for-1 on, all steel, falling steel, 2 plate racks and 5 pieces of steel.
Nice.
But it was a blast. It was the first AK match I've ever shot. Well, that's not true. It's the first AK match aside from, I shot one in Rio Salado last year. I was on an FFL when I was there that the guy had a lot of machine guns and short barrel guns.
Cool.
So my first AK match was the Red October Cold War match last year, and I shot it with a 7.62 AK machine gun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, or a Galil Ace machine gun, I should say. So I shot, I think 3 or 4 stages. I think I shot 3 stages, maybe 4, in full auto until it really hindered me. I had a couple no shoots and a couple, nobody's home kind of situations.
Yeah, those are fun.
Oh, dude, it was so fun. It was so fun. But I have a hard time. Like I have to really, like my wife constantly, if I'm at a match away from home, or even nowadays, even if I'm at a local match, she'll send me a text, make sure you have fun,
Yeah.
and it's something that, I've been banging this thing out for a couple years at a decently high level. And now it's like, got to remember to have fun. And
yeah.
That's what I kind of went to the AK match for initially. But as soon as I had that first stage, it's like, all right, I'm not having fun until tomorrow. Like I'll have fun tonight when I'm done shooting and tomorrow when I'm driving home. But right now
it's still fun to do well. It still is. Yeah. And like, I think sometimes too, you're more relaxed when you're there to have fun. You're like, all right, this is a good time. And AKs too, like you probably saw guns with wooden guns and crazy, like souped up ones. Like that's an experience.
Well, it's always fun. I mean, you have guys that don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to compete. They know how to shoot their gun. They see a lot of static training and a lot of static practicing where you don't ever really do that. You do that in USPSA standards and that's about it. Like we don't do that outside of there. So if you're practicing standing there in front of the camera and how fast you can throw those magazines out and put a new one in, and that's great. But can you do that when you're hot and sweaty and running and moving and don't point the gun that way? Don't point the gun that way. Keep pointing that way. Don't point it back. Don't point it backwards. Like, so being able to coach those guys a little bit. I squatted with a new friend that's an IWI teammate of mine named Adam Lidke. And he was just super cool, super energetic, super fun, and very, very interested in helping people. So where I kind of sort of wait for them to kind of come around and ask me for something, he's like Johnny on the spot, way ahead of it. So even the spots where I was like, oh, I need to say something to that guy, let me go help him out. Adam was like, Adam gave him a full practice private lesson, before I even got to the guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. You don't see that a whole lot in our games, people that are just killing you for information. I mean, I always kind of say that, if you have mentors that are coming to you to tell you they want to be your mentor, they're probably not worth a shit as a mentor. But that would be a rare exception is Adam Lidke. So
the exception to the rule. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be mansplained to, you mean? It's so much fun. It's my favorite. Unsolicited advice. Great.
Yeah, but it's a whole different thing. I mean, when you get to the business side of it, it's interesting because, I shoot for IWI, so I'm not going to shoot an AK-47.
Yeah.
I'm going to shoot a variant. And I shot a 5.56 gun in open division, which means that my magazines go in like this, and they don't go in like this or like this. They don't rock in at all. So that causes a whole nother shitstorm. So if you're not shooting a traditional AK that's, that looks and smells and the magazine loads the same, then you're shooting a different division. And so luckily in open, everything goes. And until they decide that they don't like IWI's money, I think everybody's just going to like it and shut up.
Right.
So,
right.
But that is a whole whole nother part of it. So, but like I said, I mean, I shot open, so as long as they allow the gun, I don't really care about all of the political aspect of it. But I
Yeah.
foresee that being a talking point at the very least. At the other, I'm going to shoot 2 more AK matches for the year's over. So I assume that'll be a talking point at the very least at these other ones. But
yeah, are you doing like Kalashnikon or whatever? Yeah.
we're doing Kalash Bash in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's depending on who you ask, it's a match with a festival or a festival with a match. So there's a couple.
I just know
different,
Todd Lewis, and he's a goofball.
right. I met I met a couple of the Instagram personalities that, and I call them that, but I guess what I mean is the people that are super famous on Instagram that have a huge following. I met a couple of them and then talked to a couple of them offline or online, I should say, away from the match, that I kind of wish I would have met when I was there. But
Wow.
it's just super cool, man. It's a whole different vibe, and yeah, it's different. It's definitely different.
I can't wait to see your outfits change over the years.
On
it now on this podcast. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It'll be a banana at some point too for some of these people.
I don't know, man. I don't know. A lot can happen here in the winter times when I'm sitting here being creative when I shouldn't be. It's kind of a 4-letter word in my life, you know. It can be anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've been competing now, you said, for 5 years. How have you seen like the sport change and 2-gun come around and AK match come around? Like, what all have you seen in that time?
Well, those things, obviously. I mean, PCC has come. This is going to sound weird, but practice score was a very welcoming addition to everything that we do. When I first started shooting, I didn't see practice score. It was all paper. So that's happened. Other than that, I don't think a whole lot. I mean, I've seen a full circle in gizmos and gadgets, right? I mean,
Little Mermaid.
right. I've seen all kinds of new dingle hoppers.
There you go.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that change, and that's been different. But you know, it all kind of comes back to can you work with the bare minimum or not? You know, can you work without all of those tools? And once I realized that, that was a very important, defining moment in my life, is that if I don't have these things, I'm horrible. If I do, then I'm okay. So yeah, I don't know that. I don't think it's changed a whole lot, in my opinion. I know obviously this last year has been a little rough, or a year and a half or so has been a little rough on our community. So that's changed a little bit, but I assume that we'll see an uptick right back to where we need to be by next season.
I hope that's the case at least.
Yeah. Well, you look at, talking to my friends that are in that part of the industry, selling guns part of the industry and selling ammo part of the industry for their 9 to 5. They're seeing things like, prices are the actual, seeing purchase orders and things like that are starting to come down. They're not selling as many guns. Ammunition is becoming a lot more readily available. I saw the first email for federal ammunition today, like where it's really, a lot, you can buy a lot, it's expensive, but you can buy a lot. I had a friend message me on Friday, that Brownells has Vitavori powder again. So that's the first time I've seen Vitavori powder in probably, I don't know, a year and a half. So
I just got 6,000 primers from Brownells. So they've been putting it on random times, but if you're on it, you can get it. Federal ammo, I found $390 for their good 115 grain stuff. I was like, sweet, for 1,000.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gets better. Do you think that everybody talks about the future of 3-gun and how it's dying. I think us diehards are never going to let that happen. So what do you think that future looks like for us?
I think it's going to be pretty consistent with where it's been. I mean, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think we're going to see more, a little bit. I've seen a little bit of a trend of more athleticism that's required. And I think one of the few things that's come about the last year and a half is a lot of people have been at the house. A lot of people have been putting on a lot of weight, and a lot of people have taken off a lot of weight. and a lot of the athleticism and a lot of the fitness has really kind of trickled in, to the point where it's kind of flooding in at some matches, with regard to, you got the tactical games and things like that that have been, seen a lot more action in that arena. So I think athleticism is going to be a bigger thing, but I don't know. I don't know. That's a good one. Like I'm definitely not the new guy anymore, but I'm still like digesting all the things. Like I have this tendency of hitting things, head on and diving into them, head first. So I'm just still digesting things that I've been watching for the last few years. And I haven't really been able to put a whole lot of statistics together on what I've seen and what I think, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And for us, like if TriGun takes the community, you're not gonna be able to be a match director, set up a match, do all of the things to make it happen. That's a community that's gonna pull that weight,
Right.
So
right.
Overall in shooting, what do you wish you would have learned or done sooner to improve your shooting over time? Everything.
So I've given a couple private lessons to some people over the years, and I wish I would have done that. I took one class, and I've still to date only taken one class, and that was for my friend Nick Sadie, and it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed at the time. And I wish I could take that class again right now. I probably would, but it was an all pistol class. That's something that I wish I would have done. I wish I would have understood how to practice. I get that from the guys that are wanting to put in the work, and they have the resources and they have the discipline to put in the work, which is not a whole lot of people that have those things.
Yeah.
People that do, they're constantly asking me for more, practice sessions. Like, what does your practice look like?
Yeah.
And I don't do it that much as of late because I'm not practicing. So
yeah.
It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to make that content. I mean, I'll make some joking posts from time to time. But I think that's something that I wish I would have learned: how to practice, how to prepare, how to dry fire, what's useful, what's effective, what's efficient, and what's not,
Yeah. Yeah. You got to break it down piecemeal too. I think a lot of people go out and they just try to do everything at once, and they just want to shoot at something. And I'm like, well, you have to practice the drill. You got to add a timer. A lot of people just go out there without a timer. I'm like, you really can't gauge where you're at and if you're going better or worse too.
Right. Yeah, that's important. I mean, I messaged or I left a comment on Connor's post this morning about that Infinity, or maybe it was yesterday. I saw it this morning. His post from the Infinity thing, that I didn't know anything about any of that. So I learned a little bit after breakfast and a little bit more, and then, off with my day. But, I had said something like, congratulations, and whatever I said something to him, and he said, I need to shoot more A's. And that's something that I tell everyone that I have the opportunity to, that, you got to put it on paper. You got to practice in a place where you can see your results, so that it's not, every ting isn't an alpha in the real world.
Especially in TriGun, it sucks because you can't always see your hits, right? Or like we'll have an FTE and people have already pasted it because we don't have time to play with that, so you don't really know where you're at. But those are the people that are not doing it in practice. So I'm like, yeah, I know what I did on that. Like, they can't call it, but yeah, paper is key.
It is.
So favorite match overall. What's your favorite match you ever shot and why?
So Mystery Mountain is probably not a shocker that I say that. You probably knew I was going to say that before you asked it. But the reason why is because, obviously it's someplace where I know where all the things are going to be, roundabout before I get there. But I think it's a perfect combination of speed and accuracy. There's some athleticism needed, but we're not running through a jungle. It's a technical match in footwork, but not a challenging match in no shoots and hard cover and things like that.
Yeah.
So it to me it's a very good test of a full range of skill set.
Cool. And that's helpful because I said, if I know a match is going to be this like long range precision match, I'm like, I've got to do a lot more work. That's my struggle, by the way. My weakness is rifle.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, and it's discouraging to go until you put in massive amount of work, but then you don't want to let the other two guns go. But yeah, I like the flexibility of having, because like if you bomb a stage or it's not your best stage, the other ones really do pick you back up. Like you're not out of the game.
Right.
Completely.
Yep.
I think a lot of people don't understand that either.
Yeah, you screw up rifle stages, and that can be extremely detrimental. I've seen that happen to a lot of people, a lot of great shooters that they bomb a rifle stage where the points are high, you know, and the target value is high. So yeah, that's an important one. I worked on that more than anything, and that's carried me through a lot of matches where I'd do poorly, and you know, and I could rely on that, and that baseline was significantly higher. And I can tell you that if you want to improve that, try to find a way to get an all gas gun match at your, like a 3-gun type match with just a rifle. Like at Rio Salado, we have one called Black Rifle.
Okay.
And it's a 3-gun stage with 3-gun targets, and that's what you're shooting, just a rifle.
Rifle. Okay.
Yep. So you're shooting from 5 yards to probably 400 yards every month.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did do NRL 22. I don't know that that's applicable as much, but it was nice.
That's the bolt gun, NRL 22.
Yeah, and it was shooting off of a tire and a ladder and a barrel, so it had those complicated positions where I actually, you mentioned it earlier, I went too much on bipod and bag and knowing which bag and what weight and what gear. I mean, like that's
It's perfect. It's perfect if you're shooting open. I think that's a great cross-training element. You can build, you can learn how to build positions there, which is absolutely crucial for our game.
Yep.
But if you're building those positions with crutches, then you're not in a great spot, you know? I mean,
yeah. It was my first time though. This is 2 weeks ago. It's the very first time I'm going there, and I want to shoot open one day. Shoot, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so all rifle match. I'll suggest that. We can't shoot out to 400. We have 100 here.
Right.
Stab, but offhand and smaller targets.
Yep. You could scale it down to some extent.
Yeah. Okay, so moving over, this is the part I've been looking forward to. What I've told you. I heard you talking about on the 3-Gun Show, talking about how a lot of local shooters, who don't travel, think that their shooting's incredible. They're like, oh, I had a stage win, and they post their match video, and there's like 7 people at this match, right? Like 3 in their division, and they might be a low to mid-pack shooter when they show up to majors. I see this across the board, 3-Gun, USPSA, right? How are these shooters really like harming themselves by not going to majors and just getting comfortable, at shooting locals?
So that's kind of a 2-part question, a 2-part answer. So I think firstly, if you fancy yourself a fantastic shooter and you're not shooting outside of your local club, then you're probably not. Like, you're not challenging yourself to see what you can and can't do. If you're, I did that when I first started, and I was getting to the point where, I saw every person that I used is like, oh, I need to be as good as that guy.
Right.
And I need to be as good as that guy. And then once I started, beating those people and doing decent, I started thinking, well, what's the other matches like? When I started seeing, I was very rarely not winning my local club matches. It got to that point where, I wanted to shoot something outside of Mystery Mountain by way of major matches. And I did, and I got my ass stomped out, right? Hard, like not even close. So it's something that it's humbling, it's hard, it's challenging. You gotta go back to learning and not be the local celebrity that you're accustomed to. So if it's something that you want to do and you want to be a national shooter and you want to test your skill set against other national shooters that do travel to these matches, then you just got to do it, right? You got to get it out of the way, and you got to travel to some matches. And it's challenging. You might have to invest a couple years into the same match, depending on how much preparation you want to put into it. But overall, it's something that if you're a big fish, small pond kind of person, you're going to learn real quick that you're a small fish in a small pond when it comes to a national pond, right?
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
That's frustrating. And then it goes back to the Instagram. It makes me want to unfollow those people.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people, it sucks when our industry, we want to grow it and we want people to know that that's not the usual, right? It's like, yeah, that's awesome, but that's not like reality. You're not going to see spinners and drop targets and plate racks and all these things that we see at major matches. Those pistol spinners, I've never seen that at a local match.
Right.
Like, Just
Yeah, and it depends on the club you go to. I mean, the club I'm at right now, that I'm shooting at regularly is York Practical Shooters in York, PA. And these guys, I mean, I don't know how much I would spend, and hopefully none of those people listen to this, but I would spend as much as it costs to shoot that match every month. And the same thing goes for, I shoot a match that IWI sponsors in at Peacemaker in West Virginia. I've been shooting that every month, mainly just to bother my buddy George Dorbert.
I love George.
Yeah, that's my main focus point, is to just bother him. But I mean, that match is a whole nother one where, they pull out all the stops. They have, Garrett Boop and Pierre and a couple other people that are designing, and George designed one where they're having like guest stage designers. And then those guys, somebody else builds the match for them, and we all get to go and shoot it. So I mean, I guess it depends on your club and how much help you have and how much, what your arsenal of targets looks like. But some club matches are amazing. And all the ones I've been shooting out here are absolutely balls to the wall, fun as they can get, all kinds of weird kind of gimmicky stuff, which I'm a sucker for the gimmicky stuff.
Well, it's frustrating. My home club now, they're doing some cool 2-gun matches because they're the whole club. They won't show up if it's 3-gun, right? But my buddies are match directors, so they put in times. So they put in those, and then they put in a mover, I think at 300 yards or something like that. So you had people timing out left and right, and it's the guys that have never been to a major match, won't go to neighbor. I'm laughing so hard. But what would you tell people, that they get, first of all, they get a cool match that they don't even know that they get a cool match, and then they're bitching about a cool match. And the match directors are like, F your feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks.
So hopefully I get to shoot that in December, because I mean, they've got the range, they've got the stuff, and timeout stages are good for you to push yourself to.
It sucks. What sucks about that is that there's a couple different ways to look at it. Like, you can build an extremely hard match where the top, 20% have a blast. The lower 20% want to slit their wrists, and the rest of them are somewhere in between those two.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Depending on what stage and when you ask them. And the other end is that you build a match that's very new person friendly, but doesn't really challenge, the top 20%.
Yep.
So that's something that you got to kind of weigh, and I was talking to a match director. I was talking to the guy that I don't know if he's a match director or not. I know his name's Aaron, and he shoots production, and that's
it.
That's all I know about him. So I was talking to him about it. And it's like, you can build a match, like a local club match or a big match, I guess, but you can build a match where the stages kind of are around the same kind of time. You kind of squint your eyes, and it should be about, 30 seconds and 30 seconds. Or you can do 30 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, and everyone is going to be bottlenecked here at this 10 seconds.
Yeah.
At the shorter stage. And if it's a badass match, and I know it, that I built a badass match, I don't care what you have to say about, your two squads backed up, because by the time you shoot, you're going to have the time of your life. Right. Yeah. Or you can build one that just flows better. But the stages are going to be, maybe a little bit more cookie cutter and not so much independently wealthy, from stage.
Yeah, and I've shot those. I mean, that club had PRS as their game, so it was the same tank traps, the same absolute targets. You shoot 2 shots per, it's like PRS stuff, and then they would have like 5 pistol targets. That's what blew my mind, just like nothing pistol wise. So when they change it up, people are like, what? But in reality, that's what you're going to see at bigger matches. But yep. I hear you. Trying to figure out a balance is important, especially for those newbies.
Yep, sure is.
So wrapping up here towards the end, you're talking about baseline. And leveling yourself up, seeing where you're at. So a lot of people do get complacent or stuck, right? So how do people raise their baseline? How can they do that?
So I think, in regular life, in everyday life, I think it's, in my opinion, foolish to concentrate on things you're not good at. I think that it's a lot more important and a lot more worth your time and your resources to invest in things that you're naturally good at, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe not fully abandon the things that you're not good at, but not use them as a focal point, right? Mm-hmm. So we're taught at a young age that, you got those 4 A's, but this isn't happening in the Kitzmiller household, but in other households I've heard, oh, you got those 4 A's, but what about, you know, this C, or what about that B? You know, they focus on that, right? So you have to concern yourself. So we've been programmed from a young age that to concentrate on things that you're not good at, and to not go full Lanny Basham, but like a solid 60% Lanny Basham. If you focus on what you're good at in regular life, you're going to be a lot more happy. You'll be a lot less stressed out. But when it comes to the shooting sports, you don't have that luxury, right? So you have to concentrate on the things that you're not good at, and you have to exploit them, right? You have to, like for me, like I said earlier, for me, shooting offhand rifle was my detriment. And during that time, I remember shooting slugs like haphazardly, just freakishly, ting, 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 like not a big deal.
What?
And then as time went on, I started shooting offhand rifle, and slugs were my, like, even now, like you'll see me, if there's 6 slugs needed, I'll have a 15 rounder with like $30 worth of slugs in that
Right.
bit, ready to go to war. And then now I've been practicing enough where it's like I have this huge mag, and I'll, you know, typically maybe throw one makeup, if that. So it's been a lot easier. But I found those things that I'm not good at. I review my video, and I'm honest with myself. When I see myself moving really slow, like at the TriGun, when I saw myself moving slow, like I leave notes on my phone. Hey Siri, remind me to move my ass tomorrow morning at 6:00 a.m. So every time I open my phone or I hand it to, did you hear Siri?
I did.
Yeah, she's used to me. So it's something that I'll see it throughout the day, or somebody else will see it and they'll say, hey, why does your phone say, you know? And I'm like, because I need to move my ass, boy. Thanks for reminding me, you know? So it's being honest with yourself, and making sure that you're improving. And I think the best ways that you can do that is to level up and really be better at this game, is to squad with people that are better than you. You know, like it's so much more fun a lot of times. It's so much more comfortable a lot of times to not shoot with the monsters that probably live at your local club.
Yeah.
But if you shoot with the same people, and you know, you're shooting USPSA, and you shoot a solid, you know, B class classifier, or you shoot a pretty solid B class, you know, run, then, and they're patting you on the back saying good job, then, you know, that's, if you don't want to be any better and you want to stay stagnant, then that's probably a good place to be. But if you want real solid feedback and you want to be able to, like you said, level up, you got to put yourself in an uncomfortable position at some point, you know. And I did that, and I resided there until I was the person that was
people want to squad with.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly what I did. And it worked for me. It's worked for most people that I've given that advice to. And yeah.
You're gonna find me annoying the next match when I squat up with you and ask you 7,000.
No, man, I feel them, all of them.
I love it. I mean, that's my thing though, and that's the whole thing with the podcast. I'm taking classes. I've got a Travis class coming up in 2 weeks for pistol, and I do want to level up. Shooting with, well, not super squad, but I got to shoot with Nils and Justine Jalise, and oh my God, they're amazing shooters. And you know, that luxury, again, if I could ever get on Jerry's squad, but like having the pros, just watching them, watch their footwork, maybe video them to learn something, because people don't often do that. The hardest part too is not like bringing yourself down, like you said, with shooters that you're comfortable with or whatever. And like my local dudes back in the day, they'd all be up on the same squad every match. Why? We've got thousands of other people to meet.
Because you get to the point where, and that's kind of where I'm at with my Instagram, is that it's not about anyone but me. When it comes to that, like that platform, like it's about my sponsors that help me, and you know, and they support me in fantastic ways. But outside of that, and it's about some of the people that I support, that I want to make sure that I'm, you know, sharing their content, and you know, and doing my best to support them. But outside of that, as far as what I go there to do, which is view content, it's not about everybody else, it's about me. So it's really easy in this game, and I wouldn't blame anybody for doing it, for not you know, sharing and giving back to the community. I mean, that's something that I hold true to myself, and it means a lot to me. But I don't have the unrealistic expectation that everyone should do the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I wish they would, you know.
Yeah.
But
Maybe we wouldn't have as many employees in the world either. We'd have entrepreneurs.
Some people just they're about it for the reasons that they want it to be about, and they're not shooting for sponsors, and they don't have to, carry themselves a specific way. And yeah, takes a village, right?
It does. Oh, yeah, wrapping up. Talk about your sponsors and the new sponsors you have.
Yeah. So when I started this season, I guess when I left Arizona, I knew that I wanted to change who I was working with my pistols. And I wanted to change who I was working with my rifles, just something that fit a little bit better for me. The rifles that I was shooting and the pistol that I was shooting before are fantastic tools for sure. But I wanted something slightly different. So I was able to, through a mutual friend, I was able to secure a pretty solid position at Nighthawk, shooting those guns. It's a whole new thing for me. There's very few people that are representing that company in our games. Well, in our game, I don't think anyone is representing them but me. And if I'm mistaken, then I apologize, but I don't think anyone is. So that's been interesting. It's a different company, different structure, different target audience. The gun's different. There's some growing pains that we're gonna go through. But I'm in this whole thing now with me and my sponsors is about, like I said earlier, kind of growing together, and it's got to fit. It's got to work well. Like, I'm sarcastic but not too sarcastic. And I like to pick on people, but not too much. So I don't know. With Nighthawk, it's been great. It was great at Atlas. I had a good couple years with those guys and had a good time. I think they're a lot more focused on USPSA, and I get it. I'm wishing nothing but the best of luck. And Mark and I had a pretty decent little chat at the TriGun about that.
Yeah. I love mine. I'm still there.
Yeah, no, I love mine. It's in the safe too. It's a fantastic gun. It's been the most reliable gun I've had in my entire life. Yep. So,
and it made me love pistol. I will say that, but
yeah,
that's cool. Nighthawk's cool.
Yeah. Same thing with IWI. I mean, IWI, it was just the score of scores for me, the right place, the right time with the right guy. Yeah. Jeremy Gresham has quickly become, the first words that we spoke together, the first words that I heard come out of his mouth outside of, chatting on the phone, like when I saw him for the first time in person, was I think he said, "Get out of the way, fag," or something like that. Yeah. Which, like I said earlier, that's in that realm of, I might want to hug you or fight you. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know, it's been extremely cool. We were instant friends, get along extremely well. The rifle is a rifle. Some of them are lighter, some of them are prettier. A rifle works, 100% of the time, lights out. It shoots fantastic. So I can't say enough good things about the Zion. And to be able to do it with just basically a mil-spec gun, right?
Yeah.
Made some adjustments. I put a Trigger Tech trigger in it and a gas block and a muzzle brake. Yeah, obviously glass and a red dot. That's been great. That company's super solid. They give back to our community. Nighthawk's pretty new to the community. But they're willing and able, and I'm gonna go visit them in August. So next month, I'm gonna go and spend a couple of days at their ranch house out there in Arkansas. So that'll be super cool and get to know them a little bit better. And like I said, kind of grow together and understand what we're looking for and expectations. And we tried to talk about it on the phone a little bit, but I don't know. I was born in Myrtle Beach and raised in just outside of New Orleans for a while, and both of my parents are Southern people. So working with other Southern people like that, and even Jeremy is he went to FSU as well. He's a Florida boy, and he'll remind you all the time about with his accent where he's from, calling people Yankees and doing all that kind of thing.
Oh, I love it.
So it's such a good fit. So I don't know, with Nighthawk, it's going to be one of those ones where we need to go and meet and kind of chat and see where we're at and where we want to be. And they're super cool, casual. IWI has been really good. Like I said, they dovetail right in with Vortex and Dissonant. We're all friends.
Yeah.
So Yeah, they're Vortex. Even with Ryan Casey at FS Tactical, that's been fun. He seems like probably the most hardworking person that I know in all of the games right now. He seems to always be like blazing busy, and
Oh
he and
yeah.
I are still kind of learning. I throw as many people as I possibly can at him and let
Yep.
them know, like, as much as I can when I see things that could be big picture, like gun companies taking them on, or different companies taking them on as like an on the shelf product, and how that would work out. And
If he needs that, he knows that.
yeah,
Go
yeah,
holsters, and it's the Glocks, man. I feel like that's where every single shooter I've had on this podcast, it's where they start.
yep, yep. Smart place to start. But yeah, those folks are all great. I got nothing but great things to say about all of them.
Well, and all of them, even Vortex and Distant, all of them, they're shooters or they have shooters and they take feedback really well, right? So they
Right.
test their products, they're actually at the matches. That's what I love about a lot of the companies too that I work with. It's like they're actually care for feedback. And like you said, you're probably doing really cool, innovative things, and that's exciting,
It's definitely fun when you get the message that says, "Hey, there's a new product showing up, and you can't show anybody anything." And
Yeah.
I love. I toy. I have a scope that I'm testing right now, and I put it together the other night, and I took a picture of it, and I've been toying with scraping out the picture so you can't see the scope, and it entices people and kind of bothers them, and
Yes.
I decided to just leave it alone for now. But yeah, it's fun. But yeah, if your sponsors could be it took me a while to realize that my sponsors need to be giving back and being active. And if they're not, then I'll find one that is,
Yep.
So that's what I did. Obviously, like I said, Nighthawk's still kind of finding their way in the competitive spotlight and the competitive scene, but definitely Dissonant, Vortex, and IWI. I mean, you'd be hard pressed to not find a match that Vortex sponsors.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah.
And even in IWI is pretty close with them.
Yep.
Like they sponsor matches and their shooter slots go unfilled because
It's crazy.
that's our small team. Doesn't have an interest in going there or something like that. But they're still sending certificates for guns and product and stuff. So
It's awesome.
and Dissident's getting there too. I mean, their Texas TriGun was a big deal for them this year, sponsoring that and putting a gun on the prize table, and yeah, it's epic. So
And that person earned that gun in that weather.
oh yeah, he sure did.
So for people listening who maybe are new or don't really understand like what sponsors do, what do you want to share that people should realize about what our sponsors truly do for our competitions, our people, the Second Amendment, all of that? Like, why is that so important?
Ooh. This is one of the few things that I didn't take a note for.
So it's important that sponsors have the. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I had some weird thing flash. So it's important that our sponsors see some sort of payment for the marketing and the things that they do to provide product and provide innovation to our industry. So if they don't have the ability, and I don't know, I think most of them are probably doing it blindly and just assuming that they're seeing a return. Because if you're not using a shooter code type protocol,
You don't know.
then you're probably not seeing. Yeah, but I mean, it depends on how you do it. It depends on how you use those codes, and someone like myself, like I don't give two shits about a code. If I have a code, I'll put it on my Instagram, but it's not something that most of my conversations are very organic. I'll have it in person, or I'll have it in a direct message or something like that and share with you, and here, you try it,
Yeah.
But having those conversations and allowing those sponsors to or those companies to thrive and bring in new shooters and things like that, it's important that we all do our part to share those products like in person, answer those questions. I mean, those of us that are in the positions that we worked our ass off to, so I won't say in fortunate positions, I'll say the ones that we earned. It's important to field those DMs. It's important to answer those questions. It's important to share when and yes, I can help with that, or no, I cannot help with that, and this is why, and this is when I can. No, I can't help with friends and family discounts right now. Yeah, I understand you're my dad, but I can't help you right now. You know what I mean?
I send all my
Whatever it
Atlas
may
things.
be.
I go to Mike Stoker. Just deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So,
I mean, support what
I think,
support us too is important.
yep. Yeah, they support in a lot of ways that we never see. They do a lot of work that we'll never understand. And I mean, it's important that we do our best to at least acknowledge, at the very least, acknowledge that they're doing their part. So if it's all we can do is our part is just say thank you from time to time. I think it's super important. It really is.
Perfect. Well said.
I think it's super important that if you are the sponsored shooter, I think it's important that you go a little bit out of your way and understand that the conversation when you're hoping to have a sponsor, you know, somebody that as somebody that's looking for a sponsor, what are you doing that someone's not doing already?
Right.
You know, what do you have to offer? And that should be the first question. It should
Give
be one of the
more than
first
you
questions.
want, or give more than you are expecting to get. You shouldn't expect anything. And a lot of people don't know that.
If it's not the first, it should be a paramount. It should be a very, very important question somewhere. Whether it's the first or last question, doesn't really matter, I don't think. But at some point, the words out of your mouth need to come out saying, how can I help you? And what can I do for you?
Yep.
And maybe all you can do is you know, post a video a month or 2 a week or whatever it is. What are you doing that other people aren't already doing? And I can assure you 100%, because I've tried, that crushing all the competition at a local match isn't the way to do it. That's not, you're not setting yourself apart. There's probably on any given Saturday, a minimum of what, I don't know, 40 3-gun matches, 20,
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So there's probably 3 guys at every club that think they're the hot shit. They've never left home, that are looking for sponsorships from, you know, I don't know, who pick your poison, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's definitely, you're not setting yourself apart. Like, how are you, you know, are you weird? Do you have a funny shirt that you wear? Are you that guy from Vegas that wears the weird pants all the time?
Oh my gosh.
Who are you and what do you do to make yourself different? And are you a fun person? Are you marketable? Are you a good ambassador? Do you sell this product? Do you use this product? Do you talk shit about the product when you're not using it?
That's the worst that I've seen and heard from a lot of people in higher positions. And I'll never have the balls to go talk to that company, right? Or call them or email them, because then I look like the bad guy. But so often I'm just like wanting to shake somebody, right?
Yeah. It's a lot more than there's been a lot of times with sponsorships where I've thought, is this really worth it? You know? Mm-hmm. And it has been with most companies. So yeah. There's sometimes where it's challenging. You know, sometimes, I mean, my friend Ruben is really good at letting me know if I post something that I shouldn't have posted. So, you know, if you're lucky, you'll have someone like Rube that can help coach you into it. Because I mean, in the reality, I mean, I've shot for Dissident for 3 years now, 3 or 4. But my first sponsorship with Dissident in 2018 was a $500 machining credit. You know, yep. It's not like they're sending me guns. You know right. What I mean? I mean, obviously our relationship is built since then and grown since then. But yeah, I mean, it takes a while. So hopefully, whatever your first sponsor is, or your second or your third, you have someone like Ruben that can help, you know, mentor you and help elevate your intelligence a little bit when it comes to brand ambassadoring, if that's a
it's a thing. I just get so frustrated. People, like you said, you're not an overnight success. This is 10 years in the making, right? And you are a personal brand. I teach branding a lot. Like I just spoke to a college class. I'm like, you're an individual brand. So whatever you say is going to be whatever logos go on your back. It's the same thing, right?
Yep.
Super important. But thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of people need to hear that. And I do think across the board too, like you said, I think everyone, no matter if you want to be sponsored or not, like you should be willing to help someone, even if it costs you a little bit of time or effort at a major match, right? Or be willing to do stuff that you probably don't want to do, or come out of your shell and talk to people and all of the things that you have to do. Like you can't not do that. I don't know.
Yep. Totally agree.
So this has been a lot of fun. We went so far over and I love it.
Yeah.
just a smidge. Any other thoughts you want to leave people with?
I thought about this. I think the main one is don't take yourself too seriously. It's one thing to take yourself super seriously on the range, but when you're coming off the range, and I'm mainly speaking to the people that are, you know, the people that have the ability to really make a difference in this game, make sure that you're paying attention to the people that are trying to learn. Sometimes they're not going to come and ask. Sometimes you got to go out of your way and tell them things that they need to hear.
Yep.
Help them adjust that grip. I know Nils has done that for me in times that I didn't want to hear about it, you know, and he would share things with me that I wasn't going to hear from anybody else. And he did it in a very professional and courteous way. And it's been some of the best instruction I've ever had in my life, is those types of conversations. So having those and taking the time to be a good ambassador of not just the brand that you're representing or the company you're representing, or prospectively, hopefully representing, but an ambassador to the sport, and an ambassador to, I don't know, humans.
Yeah, to life.
Yeah, that's overall what it is. To just be a good human, right?
Absolutely. Good luck, people.
Yeah.
Do what?
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, just a little bit. So how can people follow you online on social media and all of that?
So I don't have a web page, and Instagram is by far enough for me. So yeah, my Instagram handle is Kitzmiller _3gun. And I'm there daily.
He is more than I am. I love it. Matt, thanks for your time. Thanks for being on the podcast. And like I said, I'm looking forward to when I get a squad with you.
Same. Can't wait. It was a blast.
It's so much fun. So thanks for listening. And be sure to review, rate, and subscribe to the Reticle Up podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Reticle Up podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow along on social media at Reticle Up or 3Gun Kenzie.